about this one last night. Michelle, very quickly before we continue with the Stanley Cup Final, I have some news for you. The Cincinnati Reds have won 23 games.
Oh, man. It was so close.
23 games
So
for the Reds.
we did a revised
June 23rd.
called shot when you were out last week, Robbie. I said they will not win more games than the Vols did this year. 57. New number, but.
New number, yes.
Darn.
They will not win.
I think you got a pretty good shot with that one.
You got a shot with that one. Yeah. 50. So if they win 56, that called shot comes through.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they have won 23.
Yes. They had a chance
So
to be the
Michelle's
worst
called shot
sports team ever.
They will win 22 games. No more than 22 in a 162-game season.
Deuce.
But they have won 23. So congratulations to
The
Ryan Port's
Cincinnati
Cincinnati Reds.
Is Ryan Porte still
Exceeding
watching?
expectations.
Is he still watching the Reds every night? Like, is he?
I hope not.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot on his plate. I see a lot of random White Sox.
A
tweets
lot of
from
White
him,
Sox
so.
drama apparently, and the Cubs are not good. So
And then obviously you probably have to chase Hub around town.
yeah, there's
yell,
Hub,
yell at
Arkish
him.
that going after Aaron Rodgers, driving up to Wisconsin. It's good stuff.
We should have Hub on. Maybe we should have Hub and Ryan together on.
Yeah, Hub, Ryan, Scott Powers. We can get a lot of people from Chicago on the show. We'll get to that here.
There's
here,
a topic.
here in just a few minutes. Colorado wins last night. They win in overtime on a very controversial goal. Nazem Kadri with the game winner, and on that game winner, Joe, I mean, it looks pretty clear to me. There's 6 guys on the ice for Colorado. That's one more than you're allowed to have in terms of your skaters. So I guess 7 total with the goalie included. So too many men on the ice missed last night in the game winner by Colorado, and now they're up 3-1. And look, I love the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've won 11 playoff series in a row. They have been resilient during that stretch. It's difficult for me to believe that they're coming back from down 3-1 against this team. So that's a pretty gigantic swing last night in overtime. If Tampa wins that, it's 2-2. Everything's all squared up going back to Colorado. And now the game winner is scored last night, and it's 3-1, and it kind of feels like maybe over.
Yeah, and look, bad missed call again. People around here are used to seeing that from NHL officials, unfortunately, in the most important series of the year. But as that game went on, the third period, by the time it got to the third period, it was like, man, Colorado's really controlling the game. You get to overtime, and it looked like an NHL team going against a junior team. I mean, they were dominating the game. Vasilevsky kept that a game way past probably what it should have been.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was not, although it was a bad call, it was not fluky, and that game-winning goal probably happens a couple minutes later if it didn't happen there, the way things were going. Like, Tampa Bay was going to need, it was almost like throwing a Hail Mary at that point to have any kind of possession in the O-zone. They were just getting completely accordioned. Excuse me. Accordioned.
Yes.
As a verb.
I like that.
Just boxed in by the Avs. So the Avs are just really good. And, Kadri back in the lineup kind of helps too. They were wondering if he could shoot, coming in last night with his injury. But, yeah, shots out that last one. All right.
I love the way the NHL phrased their statement after the game. It was just beautiful. Quote, "A too many men on the ice penalty is a judgment call that can be made by any of the 4 on-ice officials. Following the game, hockey operations met with the 4 officials as is their normal protocol. In discussing the winning goal, each of the 4 officials advised that they did not see a too many men on the ice situation on the play. This call is not subject to video review either by hockey ops or the on-ice officials." So they did come out and say it wasn't the right call or wasn't the wrong call. They just said, they didn't see it.
They said the call wasn't
and it's
made.
not reviewable. Yes.
People were here, and they did not make a call, and the game is over. Thank you. No more questions at this time.
So we're gonna release a statement, and we're not gonna say that it was the right call, but we're just gonna say they didn't see it.
Yeah, we're going to confirm to you what you already knew, which is that they didn't see the call they should have made.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's kind of amazing. And Michelle has just tweeted out just sent us the on-ice report, which is kind of amazing. This is from the official NHL report. It says, on the ice, on the time of the goal by Kadri, the official report says 6 men are on the ice. It's like, so your official report says it's an illegal play, and the game's over. It's good stuff.
That was a robot that saw it, though, and not actual people. So the actual people, they say, hey, did you see it? No, I didn't see it. Did you see it? No. Okay.
I mean, I agree. Like, in all likelihood, Colorado probably still wins that game in overtime. But, I mean.
But you don't know that.
Look, I've seen there's a long list of games in overtime where a team's had the puck the whole time, and then all of a sudden it's one shot the other way and the game's over. So
right. Like one goalie is getting totally peppered and is absolutely at the top of his game. The other goalie's getting no work, and then some, like the second goal that Kemper let in, for example, the Hedman little flip. Yeah, no, you're right. That's the thing. Like, as much as they were dominating, you've seen that many times. The team dominating loses in the extra session. So that's too bad, because it was headed for a heck of a best of 3, I think.
Yeah.
But, again, Colorado is really good.
They're really good, and now they've got a chance to close things out coming up on Friday night in Game 5 at home. I mean, that place is going to be rocking. I mean, it's Tampa. They're just banged up right now. They had Chernak leave the game last night. He came back on the bench. You had Cirelli leave the game for a little bit last night. Braid Point couldn't play last night like that. I think they've basically determined that 60% of Braden Point in this series against that team, when you have to skate as much as you have to skate, is just not able to get it done. Like, both teams banged up right now. It's a war of attrition out there.
Yeah, Cirelli going out, and it looked – I mean, actually I was surprised he came back based on how that looked, but he's been so good. That's a huge loss. And look, I don't know why exactly. It just looked to me like, I mean, the first period, Tampa Bay, I mean, of course, they scored 30 seconds into the game, and they were the better team, and it just got, like, progressively the other way. Like, they looked exhausted by the end, and the Avs were skating circles around them.
Kucherov looked like he was playing half speed last night. I mean, he got banged up at the end of Game 3 on that hit by Taves, and Tampa Bay was very upset about that hit. But it just kind of looked like he was gutting it out last night. But you can't be half speed against Colorado.
No,
it doesn't work out very well.
Yeah. So the big plan, is Sunday is Game 6, right? Which may well not happen. That's also the day that they're debuting the more important hockey development of this month, which is the E60 unrivaled Avs Red Wings special. That might be the only hockey to watch.
It could
Sunday.
be. Is this the E60 that you've looked forward to the most, maybe in the history of your life?
Yeah. Well,
30 for 30 E60. Throw it all together.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know the difference now, but it seems like a bigger deal when it's a 30 for 30. E60 to me, isn't that like it's like an EP of an album, right?
Yeah.
Like, but is it only 60 minutes then?
I don't know.
I think some E60s are longer than an hour, so then why call them an E60?
Well, some of them are also like 30 minutes, too.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm confused by how this works.
I wish they called it a 30 for 30. That has a certain prestige to it. You know what I mean? But I don't care what they call it. I'm very excited about it. And then we'll get to ask Darren McCarty all about it next week.
You will.
In a very unbiased interview with total respect toward Patty Roy and his boys.
Should we reach out to some of the Colorado Avalanche brass to give them their equal say coming up next Tuesday? A response, if you will, to Darren McCarty?
We can. We could have my Aunt Mary on, day one Colorado Avs season ticket holder, who grew up in Michigan and turned trader. We could have her on. I mean, I love you, Aunt Mary. Don't get me wrong.
Just stating fact of what happened.
But I'm just saying.
Just following.
Like, yeah, we used to yell at each other back in the 90s. It was fun.
We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We have identified the culprit who left Roman Josi off of their Norris Trophy ballot. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Starting company is delivered. There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Tennessee has never been a stranger to progress, and with all the changes going on, people want an affordable way to protect their families, which is why so many Tennesseans trust us. At Farm Bureau Health Plans, helping people find peace of mind has never gone out of style. Just click fbhp.com, call us, or visit one of our many offices. Farm Bureau Health Plans, protecting Tennesseans since 1947.
Are you just riding through life, living, but not really living? If that sounds like you need to treat yourself to Cartronics, Nashville's premier one-stop shop for vehicle customization since 1982. Their team of install techs provide a 5-star experience from start to finish, ensuring your vehicle is the coolest ride on the block. From cars and trucks to boats, motorcycles, golf carts, and off-road vehicles, Cartronics specializes in personalizing your automotive experience. So visit their website at cartronics.audio and start living today.
The body is a machine by itself. Given the right ingredients, during the right situation, some things can be healed naturally.
Football legend Emmitt Smith learned that pain pills and surgeries are only Band-Aids for chronic joint pain. A smarter, longer-lasting solution? Natural biologic treatments from QC Kinetics.
With QC Kinetics, it's that way. It's that natural process of allowing my body to actually heal itself.
With no downtime and no drugs, QC Kinetics regenerative pain treatments can repair and restore damaged tissue, bringing lasting pain relief in your knees, shoulders, hips, and lower back.
What I like about working with QC Kinetics is the natural aspect of it. The body has a way of reconnecting itself and re-healing itself.
Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
If you tried other ways, there's a new method.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024.
The official Monster Truck Series. Witness the world's best drivers competing in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. Be part of the action.
Let's hear it! Make some noise!
Brought to you by Great Clips. Get your savings coupon from participating Great Clip salons and save 20% on select tickets. Restrictions and additional charges may apply. See savings coupon for details. Coming to Nissan Stadium June 25th.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF, unicefusa.org/action.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Joe spent a lot of the show yesterday discussing the Norris Trophy ballots, including someone who left Roman Josi completely off of the top 5 on the voting of the Norris Trophy, and we have determined who that was. Scott Powers of The Athletic, who covers the Chicago Blackhawks and does some other things too, but covers the Chicago Blackhawks. Let me start by saying this. I've met Scott. I know Scott a little bit. I like him, so he's a good guy. This does not change my opinion of him being a good guy. This is a pretty big oversight by Scott Powers here. I know that you were in contact with him a little bit yesterday. Jared had some text from Adam Vingan that he read on the show yesterday as well. So Scott Powers, the one that did not put Roman Josi on the Norris Trophy ballot, leaving him outside of the top 5. Joe, your reaction to the latest development in this Norris Trophy saga with Roman Josi?
Oh, boy. Yeah, so I'm looking at this like, man, I feel like a lot of the issues with the Roman Josi voting are athletic employees.
There's a couple of those.
Like, well, I do rip Jared all the time, and I work with him. So what's the difference? So full disclosure on Scott Powers. I know Scott pretty well. He's a really good friend of a mutual friend. I actually remember when Scott Powers got the job at The Athletic. He was one of the very first Athletic employees. Like the Athletic Chicago was one of the very first things. And I remember, he was telling me about it. I'm like, oh, The Athletic, huh? Sounds good, buddy. Good luck with that. He's a great guy, and he does a good job, and he's not like some big like Blackhawks homer guy or anything like that. So, and I understand why people would take it to that, like, especially considering his ballot had Devin Taves on it. It's like, see, he loves Jonathan, and he voted for Devin.
Yes.
You homer. But I have no. I'll read the message from him. He politely declined. He said basically like, I don't know what good it's going to do to come on the radio, because I definitely went right to him. Actually, when I messaged him, it was all caps, OMG, Scott, your Norris ballot. That was how my message started to him. So here's his explanation. He said, quote, I probably should have put him 4th or 5th to just avoid this, but I thought he wasn't good enough both ways to be considered the best all-around defenseman. I honestly went by a lot of the analytics on evolving hockey to come to my decision. I had him 6th and was included on my all-star vote. End quote. So again, like, if you want to say he wasn't good enough both ways to be considered the best, okay. Not to be on your ballot?
Top 5?
Yeah, like there's no
explaining
excuse. This. Yeah,
No.
There's no justification for this.
Well, I mean, here was the ballot from Scott Powers. He had Cale Makar at number 1, which, fine, whatever.
Yep.
Charlie McAvoy at number 2. Devontae.
You immediately start wondering what's going on, but okay. Yep.
Devontae's at number 3. Aaron Ekblad at number 4. Victor Hedman at 5. So Hedman is at 5 on this list. I said this yesterday. Aaron Ekblad missed a quarter of the season. He did not play. Like, I don't, and no one's talking about this. Like, I have not seen anybody other than me, and I hate to do this stuff because I sound like Skip Stillman. No, but we're the only show that talks about this. I have not seen anyone other than me take any issue with people voting for Aaron Ekblad whatsoever. And I'm like, guys, he missed 25% of the season.
Yeah.
Part of your ability is your availability. And Aaron Ekblad's a great player. But you can't miss a quarter of a season and get a top 5 Norris vote. Like, it's amazing to me.
It makes me wonder, like, what's the most time that's been missed by a player who won like a major individual award? But there's a quarter of the season should be a
pretty big deal.
A non-starter. That much. I'm sure there's been some award winners who missed some time, right? But that's way too much. Well, tell me about Taves.
Yeah, like you got Cale Makar at 1, you've got Devon Taves at number 3. Now look, I understand. Look, Roman Yossi's defensive analytics, you can poke holes in them. We talked about this yesterday. He didn't play on the penalty kill. Defensively, there were times where he wasn't all that great this year. So, again, I have no problem looking around and saying, okay, well, Cale Makar's defensive numbers are better than Yossi. Charlie McAvoy was a better defensive defenseman than Yossi. Like, you're not going to get any argument from me. Yeah, they were. But I said this to Jared yesterday, and I'll say it again here. I think people make this entirely too complicated sometimes. You're looking for all these different things. You're looking at analytics, which that's fine. I'm not saying that there's not a place for analytics, but sometimes it's pretty simple. This defenseman had the most points by a defenseman in the history of the league for the last 30 years. That by itself is worth a top 5 vote. I'm sorry. Like people are acting like I saw Thomas Drance, who works for The Athletic, talking about this on Twitter yesterday too, talking about how, well, it's not a defenseman scoring award. I'm like, well, no, it's not, but that is part of it. It's supposed to be the best all-around defenseman. And Thomas Drance of The Athletic had Yossi at 4th. He had Chris Tanev at 5th, which I told Jared yesterday was like putting Corey Davis in the top 5 of your MVP voting in the NFL. Chris Tanev had 28 points this year, 6 goals and 22 assists, and he played in all 82 games. He was really good defensively. Calgary was really good defensively. But how are you going to sit here and tell me that a defenseman that had 28 points in 82 games qualifies for the best all-around defenseman. Offense is part of all-around defenseman. And people are acting like it's just, oh, well, yeah, I know you had 96 points, but, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's offense.
I mean, this is it's and that's the thing is there's a fair criticism of this or other awards where it's purely like who had the most points? Okay, vote for that person.
Right.
Okay. So I'd still I appreciate the person who takes it seriously to the point of looking into things like that. That's fine. But yeah, sometimes it's like, but that's a ridiculous number.
Yeah, like this is not Erik Karlsson winning the Norris Trophy when he had 70 points or whatever. This is 96. He almost had 100 points as a defenseman.
Yeah.
It's not your run-of-the-mill points leader by defenseman.
Yeah, it's I guess, look, there is I was concerned and I kind of expected to find out that whoever did this was someone who wanted Makar to win. So, you know what I mean? We're talking about the Colorado homer, had a lot of different names. People were texting me, I bet you it's this person, bet you it's that person. So at least it wasn't that.
I'm glad to find out it wasn't that. That's good.
But I guess sometimes these awards are underthinking. Like I said, sometimes it is just oh my God, I'm busy. I got to fill out this ballot. Oh shoot, it's due at 4 p.m. today. I have 93 seconds. Click, click, click. There you go. Seems like maybe with Scott, it was a little overthinking. And again, I'd be very interested actually to see what evolving hockey data would put Roman Josi 6. But I mean, how could you devalue the offensive performance that much? I mean, I guess if you put Tanev on your ballot, then you are saying you only care about the defensive aspects of being a defenseman. I guess.
I mean, that's inexcusable.
Yeah,
it's an absurd vote. If you have Chris Tanev on your ballot, it's very difficult for me to take you seriously with any of your other votes. It's absurd. I mean, of course, he was the only. Thomas Drance was the only one that had Tanev on the ballot. It's an absurd vote. It really is. So, look, we talked about this yesterday. Cale Makar, I have no problem with him winning the Norris Trophy. It is kind of amazing to me, how divisive Josi is. He had 98 first-place votes, and he had people voting him fourth and leaving him off the ballot. That's a pretty wide range. 98 first-place votes, which led everybody, and then you have people leaving him off the ballot and voting him fourth. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is, and it's it kind of does show you that with this particular – it's an interesting thing because obviously in hockey, so in basketball, I think sometimes players are, largely voting is about offensive game, right?
Yeah.
But some people do really value, I think they should, really value defense when comparing players. This guy gets torched all the time. This guy's actually a good two-way player. With this award, whether it's right or wrong, it is largely an offensive production award. I mean, come on. I mean, that's what it is, even though you're a defenseman. But some people seem to want this to be about just what you do in the D zone, or more about what you do in the D zone than most people do. So you have these weird, disparities in voting.
Well, I just don't know why it can't be both. That's what it's supposed to be.
Well, it's also exaggerated. The Yosi's defensive lack of excellence is also exaggerated by people who are downgrading him here. He's good. Yeah. And Willie made the point on their show yesterday. If you have the puck and you are controlling the game when you're on the ice and you're creating offense, then that's the best defense you can have.
That is correct.
And then you aren't having to play defense. Yes. And this is what Josi does. So some people really miss the boat on what he is as a player.
Well, and look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Cale Makar when I say this.
No, I mean,
I'm not trying to take anything away from Devon Toews either. Devon Toews is a really good player. We saw that in the playoffs. You can make a pretty strong argument. Matter of fact, I don't even know if it's debatable anymore, that Toews and Makar are the best D pairing in the league. So He's a great player. I'm not trying to take anything away from Devontae's. But there is also something, too, when you start talking about the analytics of this. They play for the Colorado Avalanche, and they got the puck the whole game. Like, that is part of this conversation of, okay, there's a little bit of a difference watching the Colorado Avalanche and their entire team play and then going over there and watching the Nashville Predators.
Right. Yes.
A few more guys.
There's a little bit more support for those guys.
Yes.
Again, but that's another common thing that happens in voting is if you have a team that's way better than the other, usually the guy on the way better team has the edge.
True.
In voting.
Except for the Hart Trophy. But yeah.
Well, that's true. Yeah, the Hart Trophy is like so much about who just completely carried their team, even if their team isn't that great, which is weird. That's not like other leagues with that.
Liam on the text line says, is there an award for best defensive player that doesn't include offensive stats? There is not.
There is an award for best defensive forward, though.
There is an award for best defensive forward, but not best defensive player that doesn't include offensive stats. A lot of people have said for a long time that you should have one of those. Some people have said, well, that takes away from the Norris Trophy, which I understand that argument, but best defensive defenseman. Like Matthias Ekholm probably has no chance ever for a Norris Trophy just because the offensive numbers are never quite there. But, 2-3 years ago, you can make a pretty good argument for him to at least be in the conversation for best defensive defenseman. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he would have ever won it, but it's a different – some people are asked to do different things. Like if Chris Tanev was in the top 5 for best defensive defenseman this year, okay.
Yeah, sure. Maybe that's what Thomas Drance is one of those guys who pushes for that.
Maybe.
And he's like, well, if we're not going to have a best defensive defenseman, then my ballot's at least going to include one purely defensive defenseman. Which is a lot easier case to make than Scott's ballot. Not having Yossi on it.
We'll continue this discussion. 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs.
And I-840.
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have 2 choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Invite you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Where will you be for the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway? The Tootsie's Infield Club will be the coolest spot in the house before and during the race. With the shaded seating, cold drinks, and live music, it's just like Broadway at the Speedway. You'll be close to the bar, the bathroom, and all the action in Turn 4. How do you get in? Add a fan walk or pre-race track access pass to your Ally 400 ticket purchase, and we'll see you at the Tootsie's Infield Club.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
Your home for Hit City is 94.9 The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their series against the Gwinnett Stripers. Swing and a miss, strike three. Sounds win. Coverage begins at 6:50.
On your home for Sounds baseball, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
Hey Nashville, this is Vanderbilt football head coach Clark Lee. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got the best and worst things in sports coming up at 6:45. Candace Lee, Vanderbilt Athletics Director, coming up at 7 o'clock as well. Looking forward to that conversation here in about 30 minutes. Right now, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. James on the text line says, is there an award for best offensive hockey writer? It's a silly ballot. That's coming from James on the text line.
I get it.
Maybe there should be.
Or offending.
Maybe.
Yeah, that is a bit of an offensive ballot, isn't it?
Well, by and large, I guess it's not always the case. But I was thinking about this yesterday. Most of the time when there's a voting pool that's as big as this one is, I mean, there's a ton of people voting on this award. If you're the only one that does something, like if you're the only one that has Chris Tanev on your ballot, or you're the only one that has Roman Josi off your ballot, maybe you're overthinking things a little bit. That's generally probably the way that I would respond to that.
Yeah, I do. Yes. Now, I think sometimes you have a ballot with 5 names. Like the Tanev thing, that's how I kind of read it. Is like, okay, here's one for someone I think because I think this should be valued more or something, okay? Like
I have a problem with that. Like the award, it is what it is. It's not what you think it should be. It is what it is.
Wow.
It's best all-around defenseman. And you can't put – like there's no argument to me that you can make for best all-around defenseman for a guy that has 28 points in 82 games.
Right. That's fine. I'm just saying that's how I read it is this, okay, there's a 5th spot here. It doesn't really matter, so I'm going to put in someone who, I think should just get a mention because he's really good at this thing that I don't think is valued enough. I'm totally getting inside Thomas Strance's head. I have no idea if that's how he's thinking, but I could read it that way. But with the ballot not having Josi, see, if you did that and then you had all these nonsensical people before that on your ballot too, then it'd be worse. But that's the thing, like to not have Josi on there, there's just really no argument to make.
No.
So
well, the underrated part about Scott Powers' ballot is he had Hedman 5th. Like Hedman had like 117 third-place votes. Like everybody's voting Hedman for third place pretty much. He had 142 third-place votes, 30 for 4th place, and 2 for 5th. Like Hedman, pretty much everybody was voting for him for 3rd place.
Yeah. Hey, some of the, in some awards, you sometimes have people that just go completely different from everyone else.
Yeah.
And they have sometimes numbers to back it up and things like that. He did mention evolving hockey. If there's some analytics out there that show that Roman Josi is like atrocious defensively or something, then I'll look at them, but I haven't seen that. I don't think that that's it. I think that the penalty kill thing, I guess, probably is a bigger deal to some people,
yeah.
Then but that's another thing where you need to have the proper context. It's not that Roman Josi is not deemed fit to be on the penalty kill. He's been on the penalty kill most of his career.
Yes.
They decided they need him. He's so important that they took him off. They had enough people who could get the job done. But I think that probably did hurt him. So
yeah.
If you're Jared and you want to blame John Hines for something, that's what he did yesterday on Jared versus Joe. He started saying, "Hey, there's another example. John Hines, bad coach. He screwed Roman Josi out of the Norris."
Nice victory for Jared yesterday on Jared versus Joe as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Let's get some changes around here.
So what is your big takeaway from all this? We've been talking about this for 3 days now in terms of the Norris Trophy. Now it's over. I mean, we're eventually going to move on now. Roman Josi finished in second place. We now know who left him off the ballot, and it just kind of is what it is at this point. What is your big takeaway from the Norris Trophy, the process of voting with the PHWA, as we so eloquently put it yesterday? What stands out from you from this discussion now that we're getting close to moving on from it?
Well, it's another example of why I think that the voting for some things should be altered. I'd love to know, PHWA, I'd love to know, like do a poll with them. How many of you are emotionally tied to your voting for your postseason awards? How important is it to you? I'll say the same thing. Like the Heisman, how many people vote for the Heisman? Like 700 or whatever. It's just, and the Heisman gets so. Of course, yesterday someone on the text line was like, "This is just like Peyton getting screwed in the Heisman," but it's so regional, and I don't know. I feel like a really good. It's just like we have this committee of people who pick the college football playoff teams, or they pick the NCAA tournament teams, and they get ripped too. And they make mistakes and all that stuff, but at least it's like you are dedicated to discussing it with each other. By the way,
yeah.
Like if Scott was in that room and they were all discussing it, and they came to like a consensus or whatever, like they never would that would never happen, right? I mean, he'd be talked into. Hey, 96 points is pretty good.
Yeah.
That should actually count for something that's somewhat valuable for this award. So. My takeaway is, and I've been, again, like C-Mace and I talked about this at some point this year, like just have people who recently retired. You can have a mix of media, former players, coaches, GMs, whatever you want, and they're devoted to this, and they actually talk through everything. They look at all the analytics, and then they vote. That's what I'd like to see.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is there's never going to be a solution that pleases everybody. Like, we took some calls and texts yesterday about, why not just have players vote, or why not have coaches and GMs vote? I mean, we've seen this with other awards. A lot of times they end up just as stupid as they do with media votes. So, like, there's not a perfect solution to this, I don't think. But I agree. Like, I wouldn't mind. I mean, to me, there's no reason to have as many people voting on this as vote on. That's a ton of people voting on this stuff. So I would not mind seeing some sort of advisory committee or whatever you want to call it take probably a deeper look at this, because I do think, and this is not a shot against members of the PHWA, just kind of it is what it is. Like, you're covering a team, so you're busy all year long covering a team. Like, that's my other question.
Right.
Like, you try to watch these players as much as you can, but like, how much are people on the East Coast really watching Roman Josi play on a nightly basis? How much are they watching Cale Makar play on a nightly basis, for that matter? It's just impossible to do.
No, exactly. No, it's the same, and it's a different thing. But like I said, I've done like the AP in like football and basketball. Especially like football. So if you're a college football beat writer, you cover your team on a Saturday, and then maybe there's. Maybe the game's later, so you watch a game early, or it's early and you're in the press box and the game's on late, and you can watch ESPN highlights, and then you're supposed to vote on the top 25 again. Or you're a coach, you couldn't give less of a rip about anything other than who you're playing and who your next opponent is, but you're supposed to vote every week on the top 25 teams, stuff like that. Same thing with the Heisman. I mean, how many people? people were mad about like Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey. How many people watched Christian McCaffrey play for Stanford that year in 2015? In the Rose Bowl, I guess. You know,
not many people staying up for Pac-12 after dark.
I mean, I'm a fan, but yeah, I think there's a lot of people who voted who especially around here, right? Who saw Derrick Henry every week. And I'm not saying Derrick Henry shouldn't have been the Heisman winner that year, but the point being that, there's just limitations. So if you have people who are like, this is what you're doing, and or even like with the PHWA, the people like Friedman and LeBron and all those people who are covering the sport at large, they probably, I would assume, they kind of get a good glimpse of everyone a little bit more thoroughly than someone who's focused on covering a team. And like you said, most of the people voting for this, Scott, all the people, most of them, probably 95% of them are covering one team.
Yeah.
It's just not ideal.
It is not. Let's go quickly to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jim texting in says, if Scott's ballot had Yossi in the top 3, would it have changed the outcome?
No.
It would not have.
No, you'd have to have. Now, if you took a few different ballots and
if
changed
you took
them,
his 3 fourth places and the one that didn't have him in the top 5 away, it could have. Depends on where they had him, but it could have.
Right. Like if they were turned into firsts,
If you had a couple first and then a second or a third, like it'd have been pretty close.
So 25 points can be made up pretty quickly. So, but that one particular ballot, no, it's not like it was a 1-point vote or anything. No. So. Have we yelled at Scott enough?
I think so.
Okay. Don't this is just like recruits that don't pick your team. Don't go tweeting at Scott and calling him bad names. He's a great guy, does a good job.
He missed the ball.
He had a bad ballot.
He did. I don't think there's any question about it. Coming up next, it is time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your submissions on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast today still hot, but not as hot. Yesterday, record-breaking heat at 101 degrees in Nashville. Today, high temperature right near 94. Low humidity, tons of sunshine, but also a very high UV index.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face truck today.
People are driving from all over to shop at Genesis Diamonds right now to take advantage of our very best financing offer. Now extended through July 2nd. 5 years, 0 interest financing with 0 down. It's a fantastic opportunity, making everything more affordable. How about a $6,000 GIA certified diamond for just $100 a month? A $4,000 pair of diamond stud earrings, just $67 a month. Don't miss this. We will not be extending it again. 5 years, 0 interest financing, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds. Open this Sunday. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and pay time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of ESPN Daily, where every morning we present the best sports story of the day. And ESPN Daily is presented by Supercuts. Supercuts is the perfect way to get a haircut if you're someone who doesn't have time for a haircut. You just check in on the Supercuts app or you walk in for a quality cut. The highly trained stylists at Supercuts can always give you that fresh cut feeling fast. And it's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on supercuts.com.
Here's a not-so-fun fact. A new law just raised the minimum amount that stores can charge for a case of wine or spirits.
What?
But don't worry, you'll still have time to stock up at Total Wine & More with our unbeatable case discounts.
Ooh.
Through the end of this year, you'll get the best discount on cases of your favorite wine and spirits.
Wow. With those low prices, I'm going to need another cart.
We don't know why the 16th state wants you to pay 16% more, but we'll always have the lowest prices in Tennessee. Drink responsibly, B21.
Your first house. It looks a little different for everyone. For some, it's a place to gather. For others, a place to rest. And for others, it's a place that was a place to rest or gather until they built a stadium 2 blocks away, and now all you hear is a roaring crowd or someone asking if you're ready to rock. No, you are not ready to rock. But no matter where you call home, Geico makes it easy to bundle and save on home and car insurance. Easier than trying to drown out 40,000 people by speaking really loudly.
Darren McFarland.
That's the most personality I think I've heard.
Willie Donick.
Give me credit. I said it.
Chase McCabe.
I still talk to people outside of this building.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app. The best and worst of the sports week now on Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the week, time for the best and worst things in the world of sports. As always, we'll take your submissions and your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, would you like to kick us off this week with your best and worst things in the world of sports?
Why, certainly. And I'm going to go, I feel like sometimes it's kind of unfair that I go first because, like, maybe I have one that's going to be the same as someone else.
We'll see.
But I am going to go with I'm going to go with a couple things for best, if that's okay.
Sure.
One best is today is the 50th anniversary of Title IX. So sorry if I took that from you, Michelle.
You did.
Okay. Well, it doesn't mean you can't. I mean, it's a 50th freaking anniversary. Title IX, which, by the way, I think people talk about Title IX, and then it's like, what? I think some people, like, let's define it exactly. It's a law, June 23rd, 1972. It's had massive effects, and basically, to specifically describe the law, it prohibits discrimination based on sex in education programs or activities that receive federal financial assistance. So it's not just a sports law. It's a lot of things, but the impact on sports, women's sports in this country has been profound. And you look at how we've dominated the world in women's sports, for a long time. Also, by the way, 9 in 10 female C-suite executives were athletes in school. I'm reading from the New York Times on that. So it has far-reaching effects. And it's cool that today we have Candace Lee, Vanderbilt AD at 7. We also have Lisa Byington, play-by-play, really the most, groundbreaking women's play-by-play announcer in the country, on at 8:30. So I think that's cool today. But I also have to tie it just because last week, with the Golden State Warriors winning the title, you got to throw that in there too. So
is that your worst?
That's not my worst. That's also a best. My worst, it's recency bias, I guess, but you can't make that mistake last night in the Stanley Cup final, and it brings me back 5 years to the PK Subban goal that was wiped away. I still don't totally agree or understand that it was clear, and then of course what happened in Game 6.
Good gracious!
With the these are the times when you really, really can't make mistakes like this.
I know,
but you do.
A little birdie told me Peter Laviolette was pretty upset after that Game 1 in Pittsburgh where it was the offside play. I guess Forsberg's skate blade was offside, and I still have never seen a conclusive angle of it. Peter Laviolette was pretty upset and may or may not have said some things after the game in a non-media setting.
I bet.
Two said people. So, there's that. Michelle Knesvik, your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Good memories.
Okay, so my best is Title IX. Like we talked about 50 years ago today. You obviously kind of discussed what the law is and everything like that, and it's just made, huge impacts in the sports world, especially, too, for me. I always think, I probably wouldn't be able to have this job, if it weren't for that. And sometimes, it's 2022 right now, and women have rights, but you think back to, we didn't, and it's crazy. I didn't live in that lifetime, but, other people did, and it just changed so much. So obviously very thankful for that. 50 years today, so very, very exciting. And then also, we literally had the same today. So Warriors, I'm not obviously the biggest Warriors fan, like you are our homeboy with your Warriors guys.
Oh, yeah.
But
big Warriors guy.
My favorite, I feel like I've really started to just absolutely love Draymond Green. And I never had a problem with him before. Everybody, has their polarizing views on him. Whatever.
Former Kentucky commit, Draymond Green.
Yeah.
That's you go back to not liking him.
Okay. We didn't need to bring that up.
He chose Michigan State over Kentucky.
But I absolutely just love his trolling. There's nothing better than beating somebody in something and then just never letting them forget it. And for him to be he tweeted the other day and it was hey, somebody show me some trolling on Twitter. I wanna have a Twitter battle. It's just so great, and I think people think it's oh, he's so awful for doing that. But no, it's so fun. It's banter, it's sports, and it's fun to have a little competitive nature. So those are my best in sports this week. Worst in sports, Roger Goodell spoke to Congress yesterday.
That's a good one.
About the whole I almost said Washington football team. What are they at? I don't know, Commanders?
Commanders. They are the Commanders.
About their toxic work environment, and there's just so much stuff that's, in this case. But basically, it's sad to see because you would hope that Roger Goodell would, try to nominate to get Schneider out of his ownership position, and then you need 24 out of the 32 owners to vote against that because technically Roger Goodell works for them. You can't actually fire him. But we know that that's probably not going to happen. And I don't know. I just thought that yesterday. I get it. He's speaking to Congress and stuff like that. But it's just the whole situation. The whole situation is just the worst.
It's cringy.
Yeah, it really is. And there's not one specific thing. But you would hope that they would, he would elect to try to vote him out. But
well, it tells me that if he thought he could, he probably would, but I would imagine the feedback behind the scenes is yeah, buddy, you just leave it alone because you're not going to get the votes.
Exactly.
That's just my guess. I don't know.
Yes, because there's a lot of bodies probably back there.
Oh boy, yeah,
a lot of things going on. That was very interesting yesterday with Roger Goodell speaking to Congress. It's very interesting questions they came up to, some of which had nothing to do with anything. That was
Dave Portnoy.
That was something. That was quite something.
Some interesting folks
who
have been elected to office.
Yes. My worst thing in sports, I'll go back to just a quick mention of the too many men penalty last night. It'd be nice to get through a playoff series and not have some controversial calls. Especially in a game, it's game 4 of the series is 2-1, it's in overtime. That's such a big swing. You gotta get things right in that time. You got the 2-time defending champs. If they win that game, it's 2-2, and the series is probably going 7 games, and now it's 3-1. And I'm not saying the Lightning are just totally buried or anything, but anybody beating Colorado 3 times in a row kind of seems like a pretty tall task at this point. So, not great timing by the NHL officials to just totally screw up last night. John Cooper very upset about it. The best thing in sports, even though Tennessee's not in it, Vanderbilt's not in it, I did catch a little bit of Omaha the other day. Just the environment looks really fun. That's a bucket list item that I've not gone to. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I've always been the biggest college baseball fan. But Omaha, to me, whether it was Rosenblatt or the stadium that they're in now, has always looked really, really fun. I'd like to go one day. And, the guy that's shaved his chest hair out there is pretty incredible as well.
Oh, man. For anybody who hasn't
sitting
seen
there on
that.
TV.
Yeah.
Shaved.
Wait, the one in a bra?
Yeah. Bikini chest hair.
Yeah.
I saw that. Scary.
I don't know if that should qualify for the best thing in sports or
it's
potentially the worst.
It could be both.
It'll make you laugh.
Could be.
But that's a good one. And it's been kind of a it's wild to think it's been
it's not
so
getting much
SEC.
attention around here, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. it's so SEC dominated with no, Tennessee's best team ever and with no Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. But still.
I mean, we talk about SEC football all the time. It just means more.
Baseball league.
SEC baseball. It really does mean more.
Yeah, it's a baseball league.
It is. This has been the best and worst things in sports. We'll take your thoughts all show long on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we will be joined by Candace Lee, Vanderbilt Athletics Director. Looking forward to that conversation on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game.
Line to left, coming on Newstrom. Base hit, Soundswind.
We talk The Game.
But they knew he'd be really good. Well, if they don't make that move, they don't win those championships.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The city famous for its music is about to be overwhelmed by the Symphony of Speed. June 24th through 26th, Nashville Superspeedway will host an exciting weekend of NASCAR racing and entertainment featuring the Ally 400 Cup Series race, the Tennessee Lottery 250, and the Rackley Roofing 200. Tickets are going fast, so visit NashvilleSuperspeedway.com or call 866-RACE-TIX and brace yourself for some full-throttle fun.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the PGA Tour on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet the tour with a no-sweat first bet. If you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back in free bets. Right now, I think you got to look at the guys who are red hot. You got JT and Rory McIlroy, and they have been absolutely outstanding. FanDuel's got great promotions every day. It's a safe and secure app, and you get paid fast. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook and my official sportsbook app. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and use the promo code JGM to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, official betting operator of the PGA Tour, promo code JGM. 21 and older and present, Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issue is non-withdrawable side credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Hello, Nashville. Looking to save money on your wireless bill? You can when you choose Consumer Cellular. Sign up today and you'll get the exact same coverage as the leading carriers for half the cost. This gives you direct access to the widest, most established cellular networks available. Consumer Cellular offers flexible monthly plans with no contract and simple, affordable service that's perfect for your lifestyle and budget. Featuring a wide variety of top-of-the-line phones from Samsung, Motorola, and Apple, you'll find a phone that's perfect for you. Everything is backed by a 100% risk-free guarantee, plus 100% U.S.-based award-winning customer support. Switch your talk, text, and data plan before July 31st and get $100 on every new line of service. Right-size your plan and downsize your bill with Consumer Cellular. Visit consumercellular.com/Nashville100 and enter code Nashville100 to start saving today.
Welcome to the Everyday Hotel. You'll be on the 2nd floor and your other room will be on the 14th.
Wait, we asked for connecting rooms? These are 12 floors apart.
We tried, ma'am, but technically they're only 11 floors apart. We don't have a 13th floor.
We can't be 11 floors away from our kids.
I don't see a problem.
Stuart!
When you want separate rooms, but not that separate, it matters where you stay. Only Hilton offers confirmed connecting rooms at the time of booking. Hilton, for the stay.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
NASCAR is back. Kyle Larson returns to Nashville Speedway, a winner.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome
Game 7.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Vanderbilt Athletics Director Candace Lee. Candace, thanks so much for taking time to join us this morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, and I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate you making time for us. So it was interesting. You know, we were talking about this the other day here on the show. Just what's been your perception and your experience with the reaction to the Vandy United Fund thus far from students, from alumni, from everything that's gone into that?
Oh, I think it's been tremendous. I don't want to say that I'm surprised, because I think that in the last 2 years since I've taken the position, it's been clear to me that people are very excited about what we're doing and what the future is. But it was even better than I could have imagined. So I think that alumni are excited to have something to rally around, but even the Nashville community and our campus community, I think we have a lot of people who want to see us do well and want to see us invest. So it's been wonderful, and momentum is great.
And Candace, I know you guys announced this week, you know, there is work that's now being done on the stadium. You talked the other day about, you know, the new football building and the things that are coming together. And I know there was already a plan in place and the money raised, and then you're raising money to match it and all that stuff. Is there, with the success, is there anything else on the horizon that you guys are talking about? Basically, I'm trying to get you to break some news for us here today, Candace.
I know. Yeah, Joe, we know each other well enough. I know what you're doing. No,
gotta try, you know.
Well, I mean, I think the news is that we're invested and we're making great strides. So that's the news, right? That's always the news. You know, you talked about the enhancements that we're making to the stadium. That is meant to illustrate that there's commitment to doing things right now. So, you know, when you're building buildings, and you know, we're preparing to break ground very soon on the basketball practice facility, that requires months and months and months of design. But there are also things that we can do that have an immediate impact that fans and our student athletes and our community can see. That is what the stadium is about. So, you know, upgrading the bridge area and, you know, the different premium areas. We started with that a year ago, and I want fans to come into our different venues and see that although we are thinking about what is on the horizon, we're also making changes right now to show that their experience is important to us, and we want to invest in every way that we can. So it's part of a larger effort, so it's not piecemeal. You know, it's intentional, it's strategic, but you don't have to wait to make a difference. That's the message. That's the breaking news, Joe.
There we go.
I like it. So, Candace, obviously today, the 50th anniversary of Title IX. I'm just interested to get your thoughts on, number one, the significance of that number of 50 years, the journey to get to this point, and where we go from here as a country, as athletics. Just your thoughts on the 50th anniversary of Title IX.
Well, I love the number 50. That was my basketball number.
Mm-hmm.
And
there we go.
I had to plug that. I just had to say something about me playing basketball, because if I don't mention it, people start to forget. I'm kidding. I'm so proud. You know, I was talking to my husband this morning about Perry Wallace, and when I visited him in hospice, and it was a couple weeks before he passed away, he was talking about his career, and he talked about his family, and you know, facing mortality. He began to talk about the things that he wished he had done more of, and you know, that's just very humbling, because he had such an incredible life. But he talked about wanting to do more for women, and he referenced his mother, who I think had a 7th or 8th grade education, and he said she was the smartest woman that he had ever met, but yet she didn't have opportunities. And I just think about his mom. I think about my mom, who didn't have opportunities to play sports in school. I think about my niece, who is 9 years old and gets to play on an all-girls basketball team at the age of 9, and I didn't get that opportunity to do that. And when you look at that, you just realize there's been so much progress made, and it's humbling to be a part of it. But I also feel the responsibility to make sure that 50 years from now, the continued progress is clear.
Well, what about even you mentioned your basketball career, Candace, at Vanderbilt, of course. How do you feel like things have changed from then to now?
You know, I had a wonderful experience. As far as I could tell, you know, we had an equitable experience. We were treated wonderfully. So I certainly didn't feel like I missed anything, but I'd say certainly the amenities and the experience and the resource that we provide our student athletes just continues to grow and grow. But you know, probably the biggest difference is like the television exposure, the media exposure. You know, that was we didn't have as much of that when I played, but I would say that Vanderbilt seems to have always prioritized gender equity, and so I think we've just continued to amplify.
And within this discussion, of course, I think about the new program that has been announced, Candace, at Vanderbilt. What has been the reaction to volleyball returning? I know that, of course, there was a volleyball team about 40 years ago, or a little more than 40 years ago, at Vanderbilt briefly, but I know you've been in contact with some of those people, too, who were part of that. What's been the reaction, and how are things going on that front?
Oh, people are so excited. I mean, the reaction has ranged from just sheer excitement to finally, it's about time, which does nothing but affirm the decision. So, you know, I've continued to learn more and more about volleyball. You know, we've been studying it for a while, and it's a wildly popular sport, especially in this region. We continue to hear from coaching candidates, from young women in high school who are desperate to play here, and that makes me feel so good because I think that I know we can have a championship caliber program here, and as far as how it's going, you know, the alumni are very excited. We've even got some philanthropic gifts that have been attached to volleyball, and I think that shows you that people are ready to invest, literally. And from a design standpoint, we're working with Populous, our master architect, to help us determine what are the facility needs. And it won't be much, but there's some tweaking that needs to occur in Memorial in preparation for volleyball starting in 25.
Vanderbilt Athletics Director Candace Lee on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. And Candace, football right around the corner. Clark Lee entering into year 2. Just what's your relationship with him been like thus far, and what's it been like working with Clark Lee as he heads into his second year as head football coach?
You know, my relationship with our head coaches is something that it's a priority for me, for us to have very good working rapport. I want them to feel like they have a partner in me, and that we will, you know, travel on this journey together. And I know, I want them to know that I intimately understand the opportunity. I'm not going to say challenges, but the circumstances that we have to manage around, that we will succeed through in order to be what I know we can be. And so I hope that my relationship with Clark is indicative of my relationship with all of our coaches, and that it's one of trust and open communication. And like any relationship, you know, we invest a lot of time there. He is a tremendous leader. You know, he's smart. He knows football, of course, but beyond that, he has a vision. Sometimes we talk about the fact that our vision is beyond our current resources, but all transformational dreams are, you know, and he sees what I see. And sure, you know, we are both alums, so I think that we probably experience it in a more intimate way just because it feels so personal. But honestly, I could say that about all of our coaches. And Clark is excited about Team 2. I can see, you know, and it's like anything else. I know how I felt coming into year 2. the ground's a little shaky under you, but you feel like, you kind of get familiar with what's around the corner a little bit more. You're operating with a little more confidence and a little more sure-footed. I can see that in him as well. We often talk about what he's doing. We're on parallel journeys. He's transforming the football program, and I'm working to transform the athletics department. And doing that together is amazing. But, I mean, I'm glad you brought up Clark, but I got to say, it's just one of the things I've noticed here, and I think it's probably been the case in pockets, but it seems like it's just up front and center right now, the camaraderie and the support that each of our coaches shows, like the head coaches show for each other and for each other's programs. It's beautiful, but I think the sense of community and family here is actually part of the mojo. It's what's going to separate us.
Well, Candace, I know I feel like you get into college athletics discussion or, the SEC meetings or when we talk to people, you're never far from the name, image, likeness discussion, the portal, the way things have changed. And fans ask a lot, is this going to be, more rich get richer with the name, image, likeness, less parity? And of course, I'm thinking in particular of college football, but obviously it impacts all of the sports. From your perspective, where do you think things are? Where do you think they're going with that? And how do you feel about Vanderbilt's positioning there?
Yeah, so I think Vanderbilt's position never changes. It's that we need to focus on being our best selves. And if we do that, I would bet on us any day. It doesn't mean that we are not aware of the current realities. So, if you look at reform, I'm certainly not trying to nerd out at 7:12 in the morning, but I did my dissertation on reform initiatives in college athletics over the last 100 years. In the context of changes that were occurring in American higher education, right, basically for the 20th century. And what's interesting is that while this is absolutely a disruptive time in college athletics, we have had disruptive times before. And what happens with reform is that there is a lot of upheaval. There are many changes. Everybody wonders who's in charge, and then things begin to settle down. I'm not saying that we won't see something transformative come out of the reality that we're facing right now, because real change does ultimately come. But I am saying that I think there's an uproar right now. We're not going to be reactive. We are being proactive, right? And we are anchoring down on what is important for Vanderbilt to ensure that we are competitive and we are not losing ground. But I think the real thing is to make sure that our student athletes have everything they need to take advantage of monetizing off of their name, image, and likeness, and also just everything they need to compete and win at this level. So that's the case. That's always been the case. That's always been the case. And so I'm certainly not trying to be flippant, because to be in college athletics today, you do have to modernize. You do have to pivot. But we could look at our history, and this is not the first time, nor will it be the last.
Candace Lee, Vanderbilt Athletics Director, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Candace, thanks so much for making some time to join us this morning. We appreciate it as always, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Anchor down.
Absolutely. Thanks, Candace Lee, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
If you're on the road between town, favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams.
This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Indeed believes less is more. That's why they have powerful tools to help you source, screen, and hire quality people faster. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month at Hiller. Hiller is offering 0 interest for 60 months on select new HVAC systems, 0 interest for 12 months on new tankless water heaters, and 0 interest for 12 months on new whole home generators. If you know you need a new system for your home, do it this month. These financing offers are available for a limited time only. You stay comfortable and cool all summer and handle the payments later. Visit happyhiller.com for all the details. As always, happy you'll be here. The service is free. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Trade-In, Trade-Up event happening now through July 4th. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Rogue ST Woods and Irons and Apex Irons. Both the Rogue and Apex families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your 50% bonus trade-in on Callaway Rogue ST and Apex Irons today. And while you're there, get custom fit for free. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
This is Monster Jam!
June 23rd, 11 to 1 at Nissan Stadium. Bring 5 non-perishable food items to receive 1 complimentary ticket. Limited to the first 250 donations while supplies last. Restrictions may apply.
FanDuel Sportsbook is here to help you make every moment more for all your favorite sports and all your favorite teams. Right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using promo code PLAY, place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now and sign up using promo code PLAY to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000.
21 plus and present in Arizona, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-877-70-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
To show you how easy it is to file a claim with Geico, we hired a scary movie victim.
Oh no, a tree fell on my car, and there's only one thing to do. Trip over my own feet and pull myself across the lawn while yelling help at a barely audible volume.
Sorry to interrupt, but you filed a claim with Geico, so you've got a designated claims team to help you.
This Geico sounds suspiciously reassuring. Are you sure I don't end up getting surprised with an unexpected twist?
Just that your Geico team will always be there to keep you updated.
No!
What is it?
Oh, nothing. I just didn't see that coming.
Geico. Great service without all the drama.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Got some tickets to give away to see Steely Dan coming up at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, July 13th. Once again, that is First Bank Amphitheater coming up on Wednesday, July 13th. Caller number 3, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 will win a pair of tickets to see Steely Dan at First Bank Amphitheater coming up on Wednesday, July 13th. Rumor has it Joe Rexrode is already camping out, so you might see him there earlier than that.
I mean, I'm kind of plotting out where I want to go in the lawn, but we'll see. And it's not an amphitheater crawl, so it will just be at
one location,
the one place.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Look forward to checking it out.
615-737-1025. Thanks to Candace Lee for joining us in the last segment. What kind of stood out to you from there? A couple of interesting things about the NIL part of it and how Vanderbilt relates to it, and just her relationship with the staff. You know, obviously you've got the Vandy United Fund in the background, and they started some preliminary work on the stadium the other day. But what's kind of your thoughts on Candace Lee and the state of this program, especially as football season's about to ramp up and Clark Lee is about to head into year 2?
Well, it's I think there's a lot of progress being made. Now, of course, I got hammered for saying that at one point recently by a certain host on a certain other show on this station.
You did.
But look, if you follow Vanderbilt closely, then you're very well aware of certain things like, Memorial Stadium's last major renovations came in 1981, for example. Wait, did I just say Memorial Stadium?
You did.
Why did I say Memorial Stadium?
Thinking of Memorial Gym?
Okay, so that at least makes sense because Memorial Stadium is like Indiana and Illinois both have a Memorial Stadium, or they used to. They're probably called something else now that's sponsored, which is part of this world, by the way.
It is.
But look, the closely following Vanderbilt fan or supporter alum understands how difficult it has been to have alignment and to have support from the university for athletics to try to be competitive in the flat out best football league and best league in a lot of other sports in the country. So from that perspective, the fact that they've raised this money, fundraising, university support, and we're actually seeing shovels in the ground now. We're actually seeing things happening. We got specific plans. Candace had a presser the other day and talked specifically about like what the football building will look like, things like that. And it's going to be transformed. It's going to be way bigger, and it's just a totally different football building. It's all going to connect together. I understand these are not, this is not an 8-4 football season. For example, this is not basketball NCAA tournament bids, and we'll see if those things come. But like from the perspective of her job, I mean, this is dramatic progress, especially in the context of the struggles that athletics there have had to try to. I mean, look, sometimes this arms race is just ridiculous, Yeah. I mean, it really is, but it is also reality. It's big business, and I mean, if you're going to try to compete on the field, then you have to compete in those other ways, and so they are now. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. We didn't really get into, we talked football, and that's, going to be a process. But I'm very interested. We've talked about like Shea Ralph's program, the recruiting and everything early there. Look, it looks really promising, and that's a program that should be good. That has a great history. I didn't realize the Vanderbilt women's basketball history, which of course Candace Lee was a part of, until I got here, because it just was overshadowed by Pat Summitt in Tennessee.
Sure.
But, I mean, you're talking about a lot of years of, like, elite teams, Final Four, and teams that were right there with some of those Tennessee teams.
Vanderbilt and Tennessee,
had
back
great
in the
games.
day, used to have some great games and pretty tough ticket to get, too.
Right. Like, that's what I'd love to see, along with maybe a WNBA team, by the way.
So what do you think on that? Do you think that there's a possibility that the WNBA ends up here at some point in the near future? There's talks about it, and the WNBA is looking to expand. Do you think it could come here? Do you think it would work here? Where would they play? Like what stands out to you about the WNBA conversation as it relates to our city here in Nashville, which is growing by the day?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because it allows me to talk about a coworker without ripping said coworker.
Oh, good.
So Chantel Jennings, who has been all over the story, she covers women's basketball. She was here for the SEC tournament, but she covers women's basketball, college, and WNBA for us at The Athletic, because she recently had a big piece about this. And I think I read maybe too much into it, because she went through all the different cities that could be part of expansion, and Nashville was first listed. So I said, wait a minute, does this mean Nashville's number one? But I've talked to Chantel, and I would pump the brakes a little bit on that. I mean, there's a lot to find out, but I think there are at least a couple other cities right now that would be ahead of Nashville in the pecking order in terms of all the different factors coming together. But it's still, there's still a lot to find out. I think it could be really good here. Where they would play, I don't know. What about like Municipal? Will that make sense?
I thought about that.
I mean, I think you could do Bridgestone, but I've never been to Municipal for anything.
Really?
No, which just shows you what a fraudulent carpetbagger I am. But that seems like
I covered an
OVC
OVC tournament in there one time.
Yeah, that's right. That used to be there every year, didn't it? Yeah. So, but I think it would be supported. I think it would be good. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you guys all know my stance on this. I would absolutely love a WNBA team.
Michelle would be coaching.
I would be coaching on. No, I mean, I think it would be first off great. It's not too big of a city like you think of like a Austin or some of those other big ones where I feel like it could get like a little bit lost. I think it would be great here, especially because there isn't an NBA team. So it would allow them to get a little bit more coverage because we don't have a professional basketball team here. I don't know the arena that you guys are talking about, but I mean,
you're totally a carpetbagger, so we can do this.
I'm surrounded by Northerners.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys were saying it. I'm like, yep, nope, haven't crossed paths with that one yet.
Well, I can't really think of a reason why either one of you would have been at Municipal Auditorium now that I think about it.
But there is like roller derby, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
If I would have known that, I would have checked it out.
I covered
feel
roller
bad that I
derby
haven't.
once. That
It's intense.
No joke.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. Yeah. I've never seen it live. That's a big mistake on my part. So in this story by Chantel, they interviewed 4,400 residents. 41.6 very interested or extremely interested in women's pro sports. 34.2 slightly or not at all. So then 24.2 moderately. So I mean, pretty good survey results on that. I think it would be supported. It's interesting because the model has been more. I agree with what you're saying about there's not an NBA team, so like this is a basketball. There's a void. But the model has mostly been having WNBA teams with kind of like paired with NBA teams in NBA cities, you know? So, and I think things are getting better in the WNBA. Obviously, I mean, they're talking about expansion. But I do agree that it seems to me like there's some room here to be filled with a team like that. So,
Well, you know, I worked all the women's Vanderbilt games, and I think it could be an opportunity, you know, to bring the community together. Like they did this elementary school day, and they brought all these kids, like kind of target that audience too. Because
absolutely.
It can just help, you know, first off, raise awareness at the young age for the sport, and kids love that stuff. Any type of sporting event, doesn't matter.
Well, and sorry, but soccer here I think is an example too. Like there's different groups of people that you can draw in and have really good support.
Well, the other thing is, like, you know, there's an audience for women's basketball here just based on the college teams that have been here and that have had success. Like, you know, it's not Knoxville, so that's, you know, there's a certain level of Tennessee women's basketball that just, it is what it is. It's a machine. There's a huge fan base. How much of that translates here? I don't know, but I think it's fair to say it's significant. Like
that's part of the heritage.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great point. And yeah, meanwhile, as that, we'll see where that goes. But Vanderbilt, Tennessee, big time matchups between two ranked teams. I think we're gonna start seeing that sooner rather than later.
Chris on the text line says WNBA and women's pro soccer are what I'm hearing a lot about. Michelle wants the WNBA to go to Lexingville. This is coming from Chris on the text line.
No, I would rather it come here because I live here.
Shout out to Lexingville. Great city.
Thank you for bringing that
No
up.
pro sports are allowed there because just BBN just takes over,
That's
okay?
probably true.
That's a term that needs to live on. Like we kind of lost touch with bronies.
Yeah, we did.
But we need to keep the
You just brought it right back up.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Sorry.
We'll continue to take your thoughts. 615-737-1025 on anything but bronies. 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want the latest on the Predators from the people that cover them?
Heck of a year so far for the Predators. They've been so much fun to watch.
Join Robby Stanley for Preds Insiders every Monday at 6.
I feel probably as good about this group of 6 on D.
Presented by Dr. Kelly Rice on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now at Lowe's, order any flooring like Stainmaster Pet Protect carpet, starting at $185 per square foot. See in-store associate or product detail page for warranty information.
Summer heat is here. How is your air conditioner holding up? Costs are rising everywhere. Grocery bills, gas bills, utility bills, you name it, up, up, up. Is your AC old, inefficient, costing more than it should? Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Qualified buyers have up to 72 months. No interest for a new York air conditioner and 6 months no interest for repairs. That's at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. All new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty That's a Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York Certified Comfort Expert company. Schedule now at springhillac.com.
Spring is in the air, and that means all kinds of fun in the sun is just around the corner. But if you're feeling low energy, if you've put on weight and just aren't getting the gains from your workouts, if you aren't sleeping well and your libido isn't what it used to be, maybe you aren't looking forward so much to sunny days and shirtless weather. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if this sounds like you, we might very well have the answer, because you may very well be suffering from low testosterone. And that, my friend, is something that can be effectively treated to get you back to the guy you used to be. The Tennessee Men's Clinic has treated thousands of men for low T. Our treatment programs are highly effective, with most men seeing results in just a few weeks. Assuming you're like most guys, you'll sleep better, have better workouts, have higher energy, and your sex life might just improve as well. So give us a call. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T test and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Friday night. NASCAR comes to Nashville Superspeedway for the Rackley Roofing 200 Camping World Truck Series race. Coverage begins at 6:30 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Pekka Rinne. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
102.5, 106.3 The Game is Nashville's home for NASCAR. Tune in tomorrow through Sunday for the following races at the Nashville Superspeedway. On Friday, the Rackley Roofing 200 at 6:30. On Saturday, the Tennessee Lottery 250 at 2 o'clock. And, of course, the Ally 400 coming up on Sunday at 3 o'clock as well. You can also join Chase McCabe every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock for Chasing Checkers as he talks to the drivers and gets you set for race weekend. NASCAR on 102.5, 106.3 The Game is presented by the Backyard Blues Pools, Tootsie's Infield Club, Nashville Super Speedway, and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Speaking of that, by the way, Chase McCabe joining us at 9 o'clock today to discuss his role in this weekend's NASCAR festivities and talk a little racing with us as well. So looking forward to that coming up at 9 o'clock. Right now, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We had somebody say on the text line, the MLB economic impact would be 200 times greater than the WNBA, and then called us cow tipping idiots, too. That was fun, too. You ever been cow tipping?
I've never been cow tipping, which is kind of, I mean, I went to a place called Moo U, so it kind of blew it, you know?
Yeah.
Also,
but,
guys,
maybe that's something we need to do.
Never cow tipped, and we do not want WNBA disrespect on the 50th anniversary of Title IX, so I need to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
we'd like to go cow tipping though.
There's always going to be there's always going to be someone who says something like, "Nobody cares about the WNBA, you dumbasses," whatever that means. But
that was rich.
And then you made fun of him with that, and then he pointed out that he's driving and texting smart ass in all caps. Well, stop driving and texting, idiot. And by the way, that may be true that MLB economic impact is greater, but also
I don't think there's any question. But
yeah, that's no one said otherwise. But you again, show me how MLB comes here. I mean, I'm open to it. It's funny because talking about this during the break, one of the big names I thought probably would have to be involved, or one of the very few names that could even be possible for that to happen here, was Bill Haslam.
Yeah.
It's like if Bill Haslam wanted to be an MLB, wanted to throw $1 billion toward that, then okay, now I can start seeing some MLB in Nashville. Well, it looks like his money's going elsewhere. So, hey, again, show me the billionaire. We'll start talking about that.
Well, look, unless, to your point, unless there's somebody coming in that's going to privately fund a Major League Baseball stadium, with the Titans about to get a new stadium, to me, Major League Baseball is not happening around here anytime soon. It's just the way I read it. I just can't see a path.
No.
Unless
I don't either.
Dolly Parton swoops in there. Maybe it's her.
That is
Dolly.
I've had people throw that out. Let's just go get Dolly.
WWDD.
Yeah.
By the way, I know where her houses and stuff are around here. If you guys ever know, look at Michelle.
Okay.
Dolly Parton.
I'm not a stalker. I'm just saying,
You know where her house is. You know where Barry Trotz's new house is. Yeah. Joe is a lurker.
We all know that. Well, we have friends who showed us, look, that's Dolly Parton's, she has houses for some of her family members and stuff. So.
We'll do a drive-by,
Yeah,
Joe.
we'll do a drive-by, yeah.
Huffy on the text line says, cow tipping equals a stampede. That I do not want to be a part of. If it's going to lead to just a total rush of cows my way, I'm not running away.
No, yeah, I don't want that. You have to. I guess you have to find an isolated cow somewhere. And just
we could do the cheese rolling, Robby.
Oh God.
Or also, did you guys see the alligator frying pan to the head?
Yeah.
The other day. Yeah. You didn't see that? I don't know. It's like Florida man. But
this gator bum rushed this dude. He took a frying pan.
Just bang.
And just smacked him right on the head. Gator ran off.
Yeah, it worked.
Florida
That's
man
out of a cartoon.
Yeah. Florida man, you can see some stuff in Florida.
Yes. So where do we go from here?
I don't know. Somehow I always think of
you're running the show.
I always think of Spurrier when I see some of these videos. I'm like, man, I see why those people liked him so much. Just a fearless leader.
Why don't we have Spurrier? We should have Spurrier on next week.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm always down to have Spurrier
Why don't
on.
we try to have him on more? He'd probably love to be a regular like Izzo.
So does the WNBA ever end up here in your mind? And I know ever is a very long word there, so let's say in the next couple of years.
Well, it's hard. I think it could work. I do. I just don't know. I just don't know if Nashville is going to be involved in this particular round. I also, for example, go back to MLS. When that bid started, it was very much like, oh, okay, good luck, Nashville. That's nice that you're giving it a shot. Well, John Ingram and that whole crew took command and they made it happen, right? I'm waiting for someone here who is going to do that because I feel like there's some support and things like that, but I think you need to have a face of someone who's making a push for that. Still don't see that yet. So right now I would guess other cities would be involved in the next expansion, but you just don't know how things are going to go.
I got a text that says, you really can tip a cow, but most of them will know when you walk up and just run off. The gator in the frying pan reminds me of when Joe takes it to Stillman. Love the show. Support your local farmers. It's coming from a texter on the text line. So the gator in the frying pan reminds this person of you taking it to Stillman. So I guess took it to you yesterday.
That's a very busy. A lot of thoughts there. Liam says summer sports talk is the best. Oh, you just wait, Liam. We haven't even gotten into the Mount Rushmore.
Well, July 18th. Gonna get the WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Much to come.
Oh, I thought you had more than that. Okay.
You're running the show, man. I just sit here and, I don't even know where to go. There's some weird texts here.
Yeah, the text line's on one right now.
Yeah. Someone just called and, no, we're not going to talk. Was that the person who's driving and texting? Well, hopefully, at least that's good. So that calling is at least okay. I think that's legal. Or actually, is it illegal? It's not legal. Unless you're hands-free, right?
Hands-free, man.
I hope that was a hands-free call, Mr. Cow Tipper.
Bad advice. Coming up next, it is time for the Rex Rant. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day. As always, we'll take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Let me tell you about my friends at Bluebell Ice Cream. The weather's getting warm. We reached 100 degrees here in Nashville officially yesterday for the first time since 2012. And you know what goes really good with some warm weather? the good old taste of Bluebell ice cream. You can make every day a good old day with the hand-cranked taste of Bluebell ice cream. The good old days are being made right now. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Every Wednesday at 5, join us for Jared versus Joe as they debate all of the big topics in sports, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and Mayweather Boxing and Fitness on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast today still hot, but not as hot. Yesterday, record-breaking heat at 101 degrees in Nashville. Today, high temperature right near 94. Low humidity, tons of sunshine, but also a very high UV index.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today. We buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any. We buy any car. Any make, any model, any age, any price from $50 to $100,000. We buy any car. We buy any car. Any. We buy any car. Sell your car the easy way. Go online and sell it today. We buy any car. Any. Find out how much your car's worth at We Buy Any Car.
Celebrate July 4th with huge deals from Electronic Express. Save big on summer necessities from brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, GE, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Upgrade her diamond ring this summer with no money down and 0 interest for 5 years. Yes! This killer offer has been extended through July 2nd. Our most aggressive offer of the year continues, but won't be extended again. It's not just on engagement rings. It's earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry. Buy now, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. So that $5,000 eternity band comes out to just $85 a month. One-of-a-kind designer jewelry is also included in this amazing offer. Now through July 2nd at Genesis Diamonds. Open this Sunday. Green Hills and Cool Springs. Approved credit.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross-country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Follow the money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard.
We'll compare 2 prices that are similar in 2 completely different markets to find out which bet you would take.
Weekday mornings at 6 on your home for VSiN, 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I will say this. I'm skeptical. Derrick Henry can count me as a doubter and say, hey, these are the things that are motivating me or whatever. I'm skeptical. And I'm skeptical because of what happened. It's like I felt that day that he got hurt. And I felt so bad for him because I felt like he was running right into Canton. Like I felt like he was headed to the Hall of Fame that day. And then all of a sudden his foot's broken. He's out for the rest of the season. Maybe he comes back the last week of the year. Who knows? But at that point, 2,000 yards is gone. A 3rd consecutive rushing title is gone. And had he accomplished those things, he would have for sure been headed to the Hall of Fame. And so I hated that for him because right now he is not for sure headed to the Hall of Fame.
No.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I will say this. I'm skeptical. Derrick Henry can count me as a doubter and say, hey, these are the things that are motivating me or whatever. I'm skeptical. And I'm skeptical because of what happened. It's like I felt that day that he got hurt. And I felt so bad for him because I felt like he was running right into Canton. Like I felt like he was headed to the Hall of Fame that day. And then all of a sudden his foot's broken. He's out for the rest of the season. Maybe he comes back the last week of the year. Who knows? But at that point, 2,000 yards is gone. A 3rd consecutive rushing title is gone. And had he accomplished those things, he would have for sure been headed to the Hall of Fame. And so I hated that for him because right now he is not for sure headed to the Hall of Fame.
No.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tracy, line 1 is looking for a quote on a mini split.
Crazy spring temperatures are heating up DeWyatt HVAC phone lines.
Next week we're booked solid.
If they don't find more technicians, they'll be in hot water.
How are we down 3 technicians in the past 3 weeks?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
On ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant here on Robby and Rexrode. Joe Rexrode's rant of the day. Is this a Chicago Bears song?
That sounds like
totally
it.
unaware they had a song.
That's like pre-Butkus song.
Wow.
It's actually really fun if you sing it when they score.
Well, that's not very often.
That's actually the touchdown song?
That's
They sing that?
Well, listen,
That's why people don't know it.
I went to a game in January, my first NFL game, Giants-Bears, and they scored because they're playing the
barn
Giants.
burner that was.
Did they sing this song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
that's
down
weird. I've been to
Chicago
Bears games at
Bears.
Soldier Field. I don't remember this.
Well,
It's not quite gridiron heroes though.
No, it's not.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah. We'll have to play a rendition of that later. Today I'm going to rant about Caroline Fenton.
Okay.
Hey, this is Rip Your Coworker Day.
It is.
Don't rip Robby and I.
No, that's fine.
Robby and me. You're the
There we
object
go.
in that sentence. If you took
Really,
Robby
grammar, please? Okay, grammar, please.
I mean, have I ranted about that one yet?
Yes, you have.
Yes. If you took Robby out of the sentence, say the sentence.
No.
I'm just gonna rip everyone today. Now, first of all the disclaimers here. Caroline Fenton's awesome. She does a great job. Huge fan of Caroline Fenton in every way. But we need to change, folks. We need to change right now. And yesterday is my evidence for why we need to change.
Okay.
So here are the topics. And Jared versus Joe, which, as it turns out, was a rigged victory for Jared. Whether Caroline realizes it or not, I'm going to prove to you why it was a rigged victory for Jared Stillman. So, one question, what should John Robinson do on Jeffrey Simmons? We know very well how Jared feels about this, do we not?
Yeah.
I know how Caroline feels, too. I've heard them discuss it. I know that they're aligned. Now, I don't know for sure if Caroline knows how I feel, but we've talked about it quite a bit. I've written about it, too. So I'm pretty sure she knows how I feel about it. So if she knows Jared's answer, knows her answer, knows my answer, why would you ask that question? That's determining the outcome in advance. Here's a topic. Is Ryan Tannehill a leader? We know how Jared feels about it. We know how Caroline feels about it. I've heard them talk about it a lot. They're aligned. I don't know for sure if Caroline knows how I feel, but we've talked about it quite a bit, and I've talked about it with them as well in the past. So if she knows Jared's answer, she knows how she feels about it, and she probably knows how I feel about it. Why would you ask that question? That's determining the outcome in advance. And these are the two topics that Caroline cited as the difference makers in Jared's tainted victory.
Oh.
It's time for a change on Jared versus Joe. I'm not advocating for Caroline to be removed. Again, Caroline's fantastic. And she usually asks very good questions that aren't necessarily answered well in advance over and over and over again. But I'm sure that's a very tough job. I think what we need to do, and this is to borrow an idea from Michelle, is we need a panel to decide the results on the weekly basis now. We need a panel to decide. So Caroline can keep coming up with the questions. But if you're going to come up with the questions that we already know the outcomes to them, then we need more people to decide the winner and loser.
So who would you like the panel to be?
I think Ian should be on the panel. Ian's producing the show. And I think Ian's a good, there's still a little home field advantage in all this, right? Like their show, they talk about these things. Whether you like it or not.
But Ian also has to listen to Jared every day too, so it may help you out.
Well, but see, I think that actually, look, Jared wears you down, right? Like it's just like take, and finally you're like, oh, I can't fight it anymore. So with both Carolina and Ian, there's a little bit of a home field advantage, right? Because Jared wears them out. But I would nominate Michelle if she would also join the panel. So that would be the panel of 3, then 2-1 vote decides it.
I'll join the panel.
Okay, you're in. Ian, we'll have to see if Ian's in. And
we know Caroline's in.
We'll see if Caroline's angry about this rant. But I came away yesterday. I'm like, wait a minute. You know how I feel about those things. Like, that's a W for him. You disagree with me on things you're asking, and you disagree with me.
But you've been losing a little bit more in this competition as of late than you were previously.
So it's probably just
is there a
reacting to
little
that.
bit of defensiveness that could be going on here?
I'm sure. Maybe it's just me overreacting to losing. But I feel like usually the questions are we don't know for sure. I think probably it's time of year too, because we keep going around and around on the same topics because there's nothing happening.
Yes.
So that could be part of this.
The Draymond topic was good.
And that's the thing. Like, I like that. That's a funny question. Now I would say on that one too, she knows how I feel about Draymond. I hadn't heard Jared's ridiculous take on Draymond, but as soon as he said it, I'm like, this is perfect. This is so on brand. You're exactly like the Twitter guy who says all the dumb stuff about Draymond and shows you don't have a clue about basketball. Like that. I wasn't surprised by that, but I agree. That was a good idea. I'm just saying, if we're gonna have well-worn topics where there's a clear divide, they can't be part of the. Now I want Caroline to keep asking questions because overall she does very well. But yeah, we need change here. We need a more fair, equitable system because I've lost a couple in a row, and I can't stand for that. That just can't happen. So now I'm gonna,
we're gonna change the system.
I'm gonna change the game. That's right. I'm gonna change the system.
Shane from Ashland City on the text line says, "I love Ian. He's not biased and would love to tell Jared that he loses." It's coming from Shane on the text line.
Yeah, I think that Ian would be good. Ian's a really nice guy to everybody. Does a great job producing that show. I think when Jared sometimes loops him in on stuff, I can sense Ian saying, I'm going to be nicer to Jared than some people would be on this particular topic. But I think he would be a good judge. On the text line, Jared cries every time he loses. If I had to work with him, I would say he won every time, so I didn't have to listen to him. Well, I did tell Caroline too yesterday, like, just stop listening to Jared. So what you do is, like, what's your take? Jared starts talking, and you get the general sense for and then he's going to talk for like 5 more minutes straight.
Correct.
Like, he's just going to talk. You put music on. You kind of nod. And
Go through that Rolling Stones top 500 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and then it's your turn, and then you haven't had to listen to all of it. So, yeah. So I'm being a whiner today, but I'm sorry. I feel like a panel would be a more fair. Or could we switch home field?
Well,
but I'd say that's problematic, I guess.
I mean, we've done that once.
Time. Yeah.
And you're 0 for 1.
I know.
So is that really something you want to go down there?
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Why not let this is a text line. Why not let the listeners come up with the questions and keep it even? No one knows the questions, so it's time for Jared versus Joe. And let a committee from the radio station judge. We're turning
in there.
Like, we're getting a lot of red tape in here. Like, we're going to turn this into way more complicated than it needs to be,
Yeah.
It's going to be a second job. Maybe I won't be on the panel.
Chris on the text line says, you need to take home field advantage some point and bring Jared onto your show and let your panel of judges with the morning show determine the winner. So maybe twice a week you guys get to yell at each other on each show.
Well, I think we actually are going to have – we're going to start having a follow-up.
Yeah.
So a follow-up with Jared the next day. I think that's the plan, right?
I believe so.
My idea for that is whatever his worst take is, and some days it'll be tough. I mean, some days you're talking about 5-star. It's like choosing between 3 5-star recruits. and we'll maybe dig in more on that. But I think the competition is probably going to stay there. We need a more fair competition, folks. This is important for us, for
Your mental
Nashville,
health.
for America. Really, I think this is it's good for the country.
Well, Chris says Jared can take a few minutes off the elliptical to call in and do the morning show once a week. I haven't seen any workout videos from Jared in a while. I miss like the Carson Wentz-esque videos.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing that. He hasn't been doing that much, has he?
Nothing about Matt Ryan so far from Sweaty Jared.
Hey, Sweaty Jared turned out he was kind of on the right track there. Dave says I had a Twitter poll to determine.
Yeah,
the
but the
winner.
problem is like so many people will just vote for you every time. Like there's
a lot. There's some nastiness toward Jared that especially it seems to be on Twitter, which I don't see as much since I've muted him on Twitter.
There
so
is that.
I don't know if that's like still a big thing or not.
Is there ever a point where you're going to unmute Jared Stillman on Twitter, or is this a permanent thing?
Well, last week when he had a tweet about the Haslam thing, he texted me his tweet, so I retweeted his tweet.
Okay,
but so I went to his Twitter account, I found it, and I retweeted it.
But he's still muted.
Send it to you.
And then I kept him muted. Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking you. Is there ever going to be a point where you don't? Where you unmute him?
No, probably not.
Maybe when you retire.
No.
Oh, no, definitely
I'd
not.
say when I retire, I'm going to mute everybody.
Not us, though.
No, you can mute us.
You guys
too.
can text me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That'll be interesting. I haven't thought enough in advance on that. But I think it's good. I think Jared muted. Again, Jared just, I think a lot of people, their Twitter persona is a bad replica of who they are.
Yeah.
I just think Jared already kind of has the takes, and then you take it to Twitter, and it's just like, oh, no.
It's a little much.
I don't want to do this.
This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Blake Topmeyer, also known as Jeremy Pruitt's best friend from USA Today. We'll get to that on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Duchesne scores! Titans touchdown!
We live the game.
He's more of a physical receiver.
Are you looking for him? Is he making plays?
We are
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome
game setting.
Checkered
flag in the air.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture, eat strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with three-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
7.5 million children in Ukraine need to find water and shelter. They need a place to sleep and comfort in the dark. Show them the world cares. Support UNICEF, unicefusa.org/action.
Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cashback Match. Now to recap and say cashback one more time. We match all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
In the 1974 preseason, Milwaukee Bucks center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made it clear he wanted to move to a major city, specifically his hometown of New York City, or Los Angeles. After a failed attempt by the New York Knicks, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Bucks agreed on a deal to send Kareem and his backup Walt Wesley to L.A. for 4 players. He went on to win 5 titles with the Lakers, as well as 3 regular season MVPs.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
It's simple. When the right teams talk with the right players, good selections happen. And it's no different for your business. Because when you post a job for free, LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 810 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode to DDC.
Still in company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7. Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Blake Topmeyer, SEC columnist for the USA Today Network. Blake, what's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on with us. Blake, what do you make of the idea being thrown out there about the SEC moving to a 9-game schedule, and how challenging do you think it could be if they go the 3-6 route to come up with the 3 permanent opponents that make everybody happy?
Well, you won't make everybody happy, but I think you can make more people happy under that format than you can under the 1-7 format discussed, where you only keep one annual rival for each team. I think you'd lose so many of those secondary rivalries. Games like Georgia-Auburn would not be played every year, because under that 1-7 format, you'd have to preserve the Iron Bowl, you'd have to preserve Georgia-Florida, and so the Georgia-Auburn game would go to be playing every other year, and those are the types of rivalries you're going to lose, at least on an annual basis, if they go with the 1-7. The 3-6, you can preserve those secondary rivalries, which in many cases, the secondary rivalries are about as big as the main rivalries. And it's interesting, kind of taking the temperature around the conference as far as who's for the 9-game, who's for the 8-game. And, it's many of the schools we see standing up for the 9-game schedule are more your power football programs, you would say. I mean, we've heard Alabama stand up for the 9-game schedule. I mean, Nick Saban's been talking about a 9-game SEC schedule for a decade now. Florida has said very prominently that they want the 9-game schedule. Texas A&M. So those are the type of schools you hear talking for the 9-game. The ones that are more in favor of the 8-game are Kentucky, Ole Miss, South Carolina. Those schools that you typically think of maybe more in the second half of the conference. And so I think there's some thought that if we add a 9th conference game, what does this do for our program? What does this do for our record? But the thing of it is, the SEC has said, at least preliminarily, if they go with the 9-game conference schedule, you don't have to play a Power 5 non-conference game. So theoretically, if you chose to do that, your schedule doesn't have to get that much more difficult. You could swap in an extra conference game in favor of a Power 5 non-conference game. And so all told, you'd still be playing the same number of Power 5 teams if you wanted to. So overall, what's going to win out? I tend to think it's probably going to be what the Alabamas of the world want and not the Kentuckys of the world want.
Yeah, and your last point is my one real hesitation, Blake, because I love actual good non-league competition and games that we look forward to watching, and I would hope that it wouldn't create a bunch of teams that are just now trying to just schedule 3 wins because they're having to play the 9 SEC games. But I suppose that probably breaks along the power lines too, right? Like maybe hopefully at least the top of the league continues to play at least one good game, but maybe some of the others wouldn't.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, the teams I mentioned there, like the Alabamas and Floridas of the world that are in favor of that 9-game SEC schedule, I think they would continue to play at least one Power 5 non-conference opponent. And in fact, Scott Strickland, Florida's athletic director, said, yeah, absolutely, they're going to keep playing that Florida State game at a minimum every year. And he said we might play more Power 5 non-conference games. And I think Alabama would. I think, those teams that feel like they're going to be college football playoff contenders, I don't think they're going to shy away from that. And the interesting thing is, I guess I'm in favor of the 9-game conference schedule because I think, more conference games, it's what fans want, it's what players want, it's what us in the media like, right? Like the only people who don't really want 9 conference games, more conference games, are those struggling coaches that are trying to keep their job and want to get to 6 wins and maybe, the Birmingham Bowl. And, well, is that really going to save your job? Probably not for long anyway. But, yes, the losing those good non-conference games is the one concern. But I think you might have a few schools dump them, but I think for the most part, most schools would still keep that.
Blake Topmeyer on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Blake, looking ahead to this season, are there some dark horse teams in the SEC that maybe stand out to you? And one in particular that I want to ask you about that we've talked about this week on the show, Shane Beamer and South Carolina with Spencer Rattler coming in at quarterback. What type of a year do you think they can have?
Yeah, Spencer Rattler totally changes what that program is capable of here in Beamer's second season. Like, if without him, we'd be thinking, we'd be talking about South Carolina maybe as in a 6-6, 7-6, with a bowl game type team like they were in year one under Beamer. With Rattler on board, this is a fringe top 25 team possibly. That was the missing piece last year. You think about it, South Carolina started 4 different starting quarterbacks throughout the season. They opened the year with a former graduate assistant, Zebel Nolan, taking off the whistle and putting on the uniform and starting the season as their quarterback. They finished the season in the bowl game starting DeCarrion Joyner, who's a wide receiver, at quarterback. So, they really had to do anything and everything to get through last season at that position. And now they got a guy who this time a year ago was a preseason Heisman frontrunner. And, I know it didn't go that well there at the end, in particular for Spencer Rattler at Oklahoma, but you look at it and starting quarterback record is maybe one of the most overrated stats in the sport because a lot of things go into whether you're winning games or not. And sometimes, mediocre quarterbacks can get credit for a good team, but still, at the end of the day, Spencer Rattler started 17 games at Oklahoma. The Sooners won 15 of those games. And beyond that, you look at what he did, by and large, he was pretty good at Oklahoma. There were some games where he wasn't, and toward the end, it had started to fizzle. But I think he could really get a nice reboot at South Carolina. And I look to in the SEC West, I think Arkansas is a team that is still flying below the radar, even after a 9-win season last year. I think KJ Jefferson, their quarterback, is among the most underrated quarterbacks in college football. The guy was fantastic last year. I know Arkansas is adjusting to the loss of Traylon Burks, and that is that is certainly going to be a ding to their offense. However, they brought in Jaden Hazelwood, really good wide receiver from Oklahoma. They got a good backfield. Jefferson can run it in addition to pass it. I think Arkansas, once again, is sort of a team that could be positioned for 9+ wins, and it is. I mean, it's not in the Alabama tier, but when you think about who's that next tier of teams in the SEC West, I mean, Texas A&M is getting all the love. Well, we don't even know who Texas A&M's quarterback is going to be. We know who Arkansas's quarterback is going to be, and he's pretty dang good. I think of Arkansas sort of in a similar light as I do to Texas A&M being right there in that second tier of the SEC West. But you don't hear Arkansas talked about in the same way as you do the Aggies, despite the fact that Arkansas beat Texas A&M last year.
So, Blake, big picture, the name, image, likeness discussion, which I think does get tiresome, and nobody knows exactly where it's going. But I just want to know, 5 years from now, you know what it looks like now. What will it look like? Do you think that they're actually going to be able to get it under control at all? And beyond that, we've talked some about the highly paid incoming player, to a roster, and a coach, knowing, and everybody, really knowing in some cases that that's the case. How does that impact a coach's personnel decisions, starting decisions, and things like that?
Yeah, I don't know that they're really going to get it under control. I don't know that they can. I'm not a legal expert, but I think there's a limited number of things they can do without ending up in court if they're trying to limit the earning value of athletes. That's sort of how we got here in the first place was, the Supreme Court pushed this along in that 9-0 opinion last summer. So I think there's not much they can do. I think they're starting to realize this. I mean, at Destin, at the spring meetings, you did finally hear, despite all the complaining in the offseason from coaches, you did finally hear some acknowledgement of like, well, this is the way of the world now, whether we like it or not, in that ranks. And the interesting thing to me to see is going to be sort of what you were touching on there is like, is it still money flying around for recruits, for high school kids to sweeten the pot, or are you going to need a lot of that NIL money to keep the talent that you have in your program? And I was talking to Lane Kiffin recently, and he made a point that he's made before of if you're a good player on a college roster, what is to keep you from entering the transfer portal at the end of your season, even if you have no real intention of transferring, just to drive up the value.
Get the bidding.
To drive up the NIL deal. He guys said you'd be foolish if you didn't do that. And he said in the NFL, if guys could be unrestricted free agents every year, they'd do that, right? They'd drive up the value for themselves. And that is, that is the one area that I think a lot of coaches probably have the biggest issue with is I think on the surface, on a lot of levels, they don't mind the players being able to earn money. I think a lot of coaches understand the immediate eligibility for transfers, particularly because coaches can and do change jobs all the time. I think what is most worrisome to them, really when you get down to it, is the idea that they have to re-recruit their own players, that they could lose their oin players just because they want to get a better deal. However, this is the system college sports has chosen. Because the alternative to this is schools paying the athletes, a collective bargaining agreement, employment contracts. That's the alternative to all this, which colleges and the NCAA, they didn't want that. They wanted to hand off the bill to paying athletes to third parties and boosters and companies and rich people. When you hand it off to somebody else and let them take care of it, then you can't, on the other side, say, whoa, guys, let's put up some guardrails here. And yeah, we want these third-party dollars for athletes, but you can't get involved in recruiting. No, it doesn't work that way. At least not in practice. we're seeing that. Like, you hand the power to them and put the responsibility on them to take care of your athletes when it comes to paying them. Well, then you've kind of lost control of some of this. So, that's sort of the great irony here of all these coaches and administrators complaining about the wild, wild west and how we've lost control of NIL. It's like, hey, this is the system you chose because you wanted that to the alternative of paying athletes and designating them as employees, which, there'd be some pitfalls to that model too. But if you wanted to keep athletes under your roof, the way to do that is to have a collective bargaining agreement and have some sort of contractual system where they're getting paid, right? That's the alternative, and they haven't gone for that, so this is the world you find yourself in.
Blake Topmeyer, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Blake, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Blake Topmeyer from the USA Today Network, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll react to Blake coming up next. You can step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the PGA Tour on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet the Tour with a no-sweat first bet. If you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back in free bets. I really like Scotty Scheffler. He's playing really well so far this year. Rory McIlroy with that smooth swing. He's been pretty consistent as well. But you take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. They've got great promotions every day. The app is safe and secure, and you get paid quickly as well. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Sign up using promo code ROB to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Once again, that promo code is Rob. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance. Save money with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote.
Get a great deal on versatile Kubota equipment today, like Kubota BX and L Series compact tractors, part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability, Z Series mowers and Sidekick utility vehicles. Stop by your local Kubota dealer today. Bring home the Kubota L2501 tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $1,100 now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Krebs Kubota. Stop in, click, or call. Visit them online at KrebsKubota.com. Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics at Harding Place offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at their Harding Place location specialize in general orthopedics, foot and ankle, hip, pain management, hand, wrist, and elbow trauma, total joints, and orthopedic spine surgery. They offer same-day appointments, so get back to enjoying life sooner. Schedule your appointment online at tnhouston.com. Conveniently located at 394 Harding Place in Nashville. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
For 30 years.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Every thrilling moment has led to this.
What is that?
The biggest carnivore the world has ever seen. And for a limited time only, capture your Barbasol Jurassic cans before they're gone. And don't miss Jurassic World Dominion in theaters June 10th. Rated PG-13. Some material may be inappropriate for children under 13.
It's on. It's happening. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching a game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Today, 102.5 The Game will be out at Nissan Stadium in the South Plaza from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as Monster Jam is set to announce something big. Also, Monster Jam is partnered with Second Harvest Food Bank and is hosting a community food drive to support Nashville families facing hunger. For every 5 non-perishable items donated, fans will receive 1 complimentary ticket to this Saturday's Monster Jam event coming up at Nissan Stadium. Tickets available for the first 250 donations on site while supplies last. A limit of 4 complimentary vouchers per family/household. For more information, visit monsterjam.com. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks to Blake Topmeyer from the USA Today Network for joining us in the last segment. What do you make of the 2 dark horse teams he threw out there, South Carolina and Arkansas on the SEC West side of things? Sam Pittman.
I bought South Carolina. I bought them. I bought that stock. Yeah, I mean, Rattler, someone on the text line responded to that saying, Rattler's a bust and a head case. He'll get exposed even more in this league. We'll see. Sometimes the change of scenery does matter. I think he has talent. Obviously, a lot of things went poorly, for him at Oklahoma. If you're South Carolina, you certainly would love the opportunity to take a chance on something like that, and if he's rejuvenated and they can kind of unlock his talent, that could be really interesting. And I think that's a great point by Blake on Arkansas and relate it to Texas A&M. Loaded roster, 5 stars all over the place. But I agree that KJ Jefferson doesn't get talked about enough. I think in the SEC, beyond the SEC, but even in the SEC. And, man, Sam Pittman has been nothing but impressive so far. I don't know if it's just going to continue to go that way. Obviously, when you take over a brutal situation and immediately become decent. I mean, his first game was that Georgia game, right? I think so.
Yeah.
With little fella coming off the bench and all of a sudden showing that he can play some quarterback. And it's been pretty dramatic for Sam Pittman so far. Kind of a great argument against people who think you have to be a coordinator to be a head coach. Sometimes you just have the head coach sort of ingredients in you. Yeah, there you go. The vibe, the fibers. And so I do like Arkansas. I'm really interested to see where they go from here.
I am too. Like I feel like, first off, I mean, everybody's talking about Texas A&M, and right now talking about Texas A&M against Alabama because it's Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, so I get all that. Like, Arkansas is interesting to me. Brian Kelly in year 1 at LSU is interesting to me. Like, that to me, like relating this whole thing back to Tennessee, you start looking at Tennessee's schedule. Like, the LSU game to me is a big one where, like, if you could win that if you're Tennessee, all of a sudden you could be sitting pretty. But, like, I have no clue what to expect out of LSU and Brian Kelly's first year. Like, I think the coaching will be better down there, and there's always talent down there. So they could be pretty good to start. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect from Brian Kelly's coaching family down there in year 1.
Yeah, I don't know. He's going to have some good X's and O's for the Tigers. But
some of that gumbo down there.
That's right. But I do think that the quarterback position is always a good place to look. I mean, that's why I do like Tennessee this year, and I think Arkansas. And then with LSU, I'm a little bit, I don't know. I don't know exactly what to expect at that position. But, yeah, we didn't get – that's the thing. I asked the NIL question, which I think Blake had some really interesting thoughts on that, but we didn't get to the Jeremy Pruitt analysis question because we got to play that at some point today, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what show it was on, but I mean, I've got it
texted
in our group text message somewhere.
Should we play it now? Do you have that, Michelle? Yeah. Jeremy Pruitt has become a football analyst, which is pretty exciting stuff. Of course, Jeremy Pruitt has tried to teach Blake Topmeyer the game of football in the past. Very kind-hearted of him.
That is true. He did attempt to do that.
Well,
so
Blake,
this is where the first down marker is, in case you're wondering. That will never get old.
Wonderful time.
Now, he was on the Crane and Company podcast, Jeremy Pruitt was. And
okay.
He explained why he thought Tennessee could have a breakout year this year. I'm surprised he actually said the name. He actually mentioned Tennessee by name.
Well, because you texted to us, before I watched it, and I knew, like it said down there, he said something about Tennessee. I was like, did he say something like, well, they have had a lot of good recruiting over the years, and they've been able to build up some talent for the new coaches to enjoy.
I think we have that audio. Here was Jeremy Pruitt yesterday on Crane and Company offering his thoughts on Tennessee.
SEC team, outside of obviously Alabama and Georgia, do you think could have a breakout year this year, whether it's a team that was in the cellar that makes a big jump or a team that's kind of in the middle of the pack that's trying to get up that next tier, maybe an A&M, somebody like that?
I think it starts at quarterback. So you start looking at the teams who have the most experience coming back at quarterback. I would start at Tennessee. With Hendon Hooker and the success that they had last year, as they grow and develop a little bit on defense, they're going to score points. You look at Kentucky, the quarterback that they have back, they're always a dangerous team. Coach Stoops has done a fantastic job building that program. They find a way to win close games. So that's two teams that kind of just jump off the table to me to start with.
Which SEC?
So Jeremy Pruitt speaking the language here on this program, Tennessee and Kentucky.
By the way, it was Jeremy Pruitt who brought in Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
For the record, he came in right before Pruitt got asked to leave. So
I think he's my favorite now because he shouted out Kentucky.
I'm just shocked he mentioned Tennessee by name.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some unresolved issues there.
Well, look, that's true. If you're Jeremy Pruitt right now, maybe is this the way he's going? Is he going the analyst route? Like, is he going to be like the new Gene Chizik on the SEC network?
God, I hope so.
I do too. I mean, it'd be amazing. Actually, he was fine there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Work on that Zoom connection. I always find like Rexrode with the Zoom connection.
Yeah, that's true. A little bit of glitching. It's always fascinating to me, like coaches who hate doing media and typically just don't. I mean, he had a good intro presser, but typically just didn't like it, all that stuff, and then they go into the media space and are good. That's always amazing to me.
Well, every day I look in the mirror, I don't think I'm getting any younger.
I miss him so much.
Yeah, man, it was special. It was. I don't think we knew what we had. It happens so often in life. You just don't appreciate it till it's gone.
That is true. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Lisa Byington. We'll get her thoughts on the 50-year anniversary of Title IX and go behind the curtain a little bit to her secrets to play-by-play in the NBA as well. Does play-by-play work for the Milwaukee Bucks? All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
This is Mikael Granlund, and this is Nashville.
And a rebound shoveled in by Mikael Granlund, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Tough jobs need tough equipment. For equipment that gets the job done right, elite certified service, and genuine Kubota parts, choose Coleman Tractor Company, Tennessee's largest full-line Kubota dealer. Get hay season done right with a Kubota M7 tractor. User-friendly controls, all-day comfort, powerful versatility. Lease the Kubota M7 for as low as $13,200 annually, now through June 30th. See us at KubotaUSA.com for more information. Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
People are driving from all over to shop at Genesis Diamonds right now to take advantage of our very best financing offer. Now extended through July 2nd. 5 years, zero interest financing with zero down. It's a fantastic opportunity, making everything more affordable. How about a $6,000 GIA certified diamond for just $100 a month? A $4,000 pair of diamond stud earrings, just $67 a month. Don't miss this. We will not be extending it again. 5 years, zero interest financing, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds. Open this Sunday. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit.
The official Monster Truck Series. Witness the world's best drivers competing in your favorite Monster Jam trucks. Be part of the action.
Let's hear it! Make some noise!
Brought to you by Great Clips. Get your savings coupon from participating Great Clip salons and save 20% on select tickets. Restrictions and additional charges may apply. See savings coupon for details. Coming to Nissan Stadium this Saturday. Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home, auto, and other vehicles.
Any sports fan knows defense wins championships. Your championship is your boat, motorcycle, RV, or ATV. And your best defense is the round-the-clock protection offered by Progressive, which is like having a goalie, a 7-foot shot-blocking specialist, and a linebacker all wrapped into one. Which, to circle back, means you're going to win the championship. Because, defense.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Saturday. The NASCAR stars of tomorrow take to the Nashville Superspeedway for the Tennessee Lottery 250 Xfinity Series race. Coverage begins at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Roman Yossi. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Thursday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Lisa Byington here to the program, as Joe Rexrode refers to her, play-by-play superstar.
That's right.
Lisa, how's it going?
Come on, Joe. I thought you were going to say Tom Izzo, media basketball superstar.
Oh, we don't need to bring all that up again.
I went there already, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Haven't we already broken down how you took me to the rim
I know,
on here?
and your listeners have no context of it, so now we got to tell the story, or we just leave it hanging there. And,
we can tell it again, that's for sure.
Again, Lisa played hoops and soccer at Northwestern.
And kick Rexrode's butt.
It's a compliment to you, right?
That's right.
Normally my defense is better than that, but
I got an and one. Everyone who's listening, I got an and one on Joe Rexrode that I hang my hat on to the day. In a Tom Izzo invite for all the media to play against each other.
It was funny, Joe. Izzo was talking about that in our pre-show meeting today. My goodness.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Izzo is an analyst for this show, Lisa. I don't know if you knew this, but we've
really?
yeah. I think that might be his post-retirement gig, actually. So,
you know what? I do have to say I have a huge respect for morning talent, if you will. I'll consider you guys talent, whether it's
very
radio
generous
or
of you. Thank you.
Because, when I was in college, I did an internship with the Score in Chicago, and I had to get up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., to make sure I was there at 4 a.m. And it sets your body clock so off. So, especially when you're covering sports and they happen at night, I don't know how you guys do it. So, I'm going to give some props to you guys out of the gate.
Thanks, LB. That's very nice of you. I don't know how you do play-by-play.
Rexrode's secret is mead. That's right. So, Lisa, today, obviously, the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Just when you hear that, when you think about the fact that it's been 50 years and the journey that has taken place since, and the journey still left to go, what comes to mind on this day, the 50th anniversary of Title IX?
My mom actually comes to mind, and I say this because I'm actually going to be involved with the Big Ten Conference today and tomorrow is celebrating the 50th anniversary in Chicago, and I'm going to be one of the speakers. And so when I was asked to speak about it, I really thought I understood what my mother and even my dad, as a male growing up before 1972 when women didn't have access to sports. I really kind of felt like I understood what my mom went through. And then she gave me access. I was home one time in Michigan, and she gave me access to some of her yearbooks. And I'm going through, and I immediately go to the sports section. And they're literally, she told me, Lisa, I never really had any opportunities. But it really just hit me as I'm flipping through the pages, and you literally saw no girls' sports in high school. You saw football, you saw boys basketball, you saw wrestling, you saw all of that. And the only pages where girls, when my mom was growing up in 1966, the only pages where girls were represented were literally, there was a page that was dedicated to the homemaker of the year and, a nurse's page. And nothing against being a homemaker, like staying home, taking care of the kids, cooking and cleaning. That's one of the hardest jobs to do. But my point is it was only open for girls and not boys. Being a nurse was only open for girls and not boys. Playing sports was only open for boys and not girls. And I think it just really hit me as I was preparing for this speech coming up this weekend, to see it in my mom's yearbook, let alone just hearing her words, really kind of registered to me what she had to go through, the doors that were opened up in 1972 to allow me to go back and now look at like little Lisa and all different kinds of sports uniforms, and eventually, as Joe had said, playing college basketball and college soccer.
Well, and now doing play-by-play for an NBA team, Lisa. So let me ask you this. I mean, I've known you for a long time. Let's go back 20 years. If someone told you you're going to be an NBA play-by-play announcer 20 years ago, what would you have said?
Well, first I was like 2 years old, right? 20 years.
I'm much, much older than you. Let's get that clear. Yes.
Yeah, I probably would have told that person, no, I'm going to play in the NBA. When I was a little girl growing up, I just never. I was a little bit unusual compared to some other announcers growing up because I was so into playing sports at the time that I always, my prism and my reference of thinking when I watched sports or played sports is I was going to do it for the rest of my life. But to your point, it's valuable to have that opportunity, right? To be able to think along those lines, to be able to watch a game and think, wow, I'm going to be that Olympian, or I'm going to be that national champion. And now to be able to project it into a profession, a sports profession. It really is the steps that we have now taken from my mom, where I can't even find a picture of her in any sort of, athletic gear. To me playing college basketball, college soccer, to now making this a profession and working in the NBA. But we're still not there. There's still a ton of steps to take for myself, this next generation that's coming up, to even have more stories. Like, we're celebrating the 75th anniversary of Title IX, to look back and say, hey, you know what? In 2022, women were still doing this. So I can't wait for the possibilities to come.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and so we had a story actually today about Shea Ralph, the Vanderbilt coach, and she had a quote in the story in The Athletic about, hopefully someday we talk about Title IX like, yeah, so long ago there was this law, like it doesn't apply anymore, essentially, back in the old days, this was something that we talked about because it was necessary. So still progress to make. But Lisa, what is it like being an NBA play-by-play announcer? How has it been? And of course, you do other play-by-play. You call the NCAA tournament. What's this past year been like for you?
I say to people, it's gone really fast and really slow all at the same time. In terms of just breaking down the NBA season, it's like any first job or new job, or going to a new school for the first time. You're kind of like walking through the hallways, trying to remember names and titles and all that, let alone trying to get to know the team and travel schedule. And, we get to travel with the team. So I'd say that my traveling, versus having to book my own travel, having to check myself into the hotel, having to track down an Uber or rental car, all that was eliminated in terms of traveling with the team. All I had to do was try to figure out when the bus was leaving to the arena and, to go to shoot around practice or the games. And so travel-wise, it was my life was very much simplified. In terms of just the job, I just loved it. The Bucks are a wonderful organization, to work for, top to bottom, just welcoming, so friendly. Obviously with the ability to call a player like Giannis, night in and night out is an absolute treasure. It's a gift. I don't take it for granted at all. By the way, his movie's coming out, I think tomorrow, Rise on Disney Plus. I'll give Giannis a little plug there, nice. But I don't take that for granted. That obviously elevates the job to a different level, right? When you have who's already been voted as a top 75 NBA talent at 27 years old, by the way, and still has plenty of basketball ahead of him. It's just, I have to pitch myself sometimes to be able to sit in one of the best seats in the house and to call a unique player like that night in and night out. It's an absolute treasure.
Lisa Byington on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. What did you make, Lisa, of the Golden State Warriors winning their fourth title in the past 8 years? Really, a different iteration this time around, but the same core of Steph, Clay, and Draymond together winning their 4th title?
Yeah, I think it's I was actually, if you had to root for a team, I thought at several points during the series, I thought Boston was actually the better team. I think ultimately Golden State had the best player in the series in Steph. And I think the championship pedigree eventually started to show. I actually didn't think that Golden State was going to be able to win a Game 6 on the road like they did. And that was incredibly impressive to me. It just kind of showed to me, and since this is like a Tennessee mostly listenership, it kind of reminded me too of Memphis, right, where you've got a bunch of budding stars, right, who haven't been on that stage before, who are kind of learning on the job what it takes to win. And ultimately Boston just wasn't there enough. They just didn't have enough championship moments or that championship player who could consistently step up for them to get them over the hump. And so I think Boston can be back. Sure, absolutely. They're incredibly talented, and an experience like this is so valuable for a team like that.
So, Lisa, I want to go back to play-by-play real fast, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but if you were telling a young person who wants to get into play-by-play, which is it's very difficult, of course, to and I know there's different routes there, but what would you say to someone who wanted to get into that?
I would first say watch as many sports as you can, because unlike the analyst role or even the sideline reporting role, where sideline reporting opportunities are kind of few and far between depending on how much money or resources a network wants to invest in that role. But unlike the analyst role, as a play-by-play, you can call a lot of different sports, and you can make a living by being versatile. So I think I would start by, if you turn on the TV or look at different streaming devices now, I mean, almost every single sport is available to watch, right? So I think that would be the first thing that I would do. And then when you're watching those sports, start calling it in your head, learning the terminology for all these different sports is important. I think that's number 2. And then number 3, have an ear for how some of the best play-by-plays work with their analysts, because ultimately if you want to do TV, I think TV is an analyst sport. If you want to do radio, that's obviously a play-by-play sport. You don't know what's happening unless the play-by-play tells you. So figure out, is it radio? Is it TV? Where do I want to go? And then once you figure that out, listen to how the play-by-play, especially in TV, tries to make the analyst shine. There are different kinds of analysts, X's and O's heavy analysts, the entertainment analysts, the Dick Vitales, if you will. And then there's some that like to combine both analytics with entertainment. Try to figure out, the personality of your analyst and how to make them shine the most.
Well, Lisa, good stuff. That is good stuff. We really appreciate you taking time to join us today. I want you to promise in the future that every time you come on, you will keep reminding us of the and one against Rexrode. It does my heart good every time.
I feel like that's my calling in life now.
You got to come down so we can play again sometime soon.
Right.
We get some station games going.
What? And then I'll say this, Joe and Robby. Maybe you guys can relate. Maybe you can. I don't know. But when you start playing, when you start thinking about playing pickup, my next immediate thought is, oh, pickup would be fun. And then my second thought is, am I going to get hurt? I need to be careful.
I know.
Well, I've gotten to the point now where
you're getting older.
You typically look to see, depending on where the location is, what's the nearest hospital, just in case. Just throw that out.
Bring
there.
the defibrillator
or make sure
out.
You have plenty of battery on your phone where you can call 911.
That's right.
if necessary.
Lisa, great stuff. Thanks for taking time to join us this morning.
It's my pleasure. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Lisa Byington, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Coming up next, we'll get into the Titans. Chase McCabe joining us at 9 o'clock as well. All that ahead, this is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Super Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast today still hot, but not as hot. Yesterday, record-breaking heat at 101 degrees in Nashville. Today, high temperature right near 94. Low humidity, tons of sunshine, but also a very high UV index.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Blood Assurance, this community's local blood centers, is hiring for several open positions in the Nashville area. Be a part of a company that helps save lives by providing the local hospitals with the much-needed life source of blood. They offer competitive pay, great benefits, paid time off, and retirement benefits. Blood Assurance has a family-friendly environment. Go to bloodassurance.org/careers. Again, that's bloodassurance.org/careers to apply.
Where will you be for the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway? The Tootsie's Infield Club will be the coolest spot in the house before and during the race. With a shaded seating, cold drinks, and live music, it's just like Broadway at the Speedway. You'll be close to the bar, the bathroom, and all the action in Turn 4. How do you get in? Add a fan walk or pre-race track access pass to your Ally 400 ticket purchase, and we'll see you at the Tootsie's Infield Club.
Sony Pictures Classics presents The Phantom of the Open, a new film based on the incredible true story of Maurice Flintcroft, the man who picked up a golf club and set the world record for the worst score in the history of the British Open.
Sorry!
The Daily Mirror gives The Phantom of the Open 4 stars.
If I can inspire just one person, well, that's all in one, isn't it?
The Phantom of the Open, the new comedy starring Mark Rylance and Sally Hawkins. Only in theaters from Sony Pictures Classics. Rated PG-13. Now playing select cities. Coming soon to a theater near you.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $69.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Darren McFarland.
I feel like we're a better playoff team.
Willie Donick.
You're in a window of a division you can win.
Chase McCabe.
I'm not signing him for more than $1 million.
The DDC. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Thanks to Lisa Byington for joining us in the last segment. Have Chase McCabe coming up at 9 o'clock as well.
Lisa Byington, man, so great. Great at play-by-play, great person, but best sideline reporter that I have ever seen. And maybe there's some bias in that, but if anybody who watched the Big Ten Network, she probably was their lead sideline reporter for football, like 2009 to, for several years after that. I mean, it's an absolute masterclass in what sideline reporting should be, which is informational stuff every time, good, sharp, open-ended questions. Like, it was always packed with information, which is what the sideline reporter is supposed to be. You're on the sideline, you're trying to get information for people. And if I could, if you wanted to teach a class in college, I'd just show a Byington broadcast. But as a I didn't know that she would go play-by-play route. She's really good. And it's awesome. I mean, I think it is a good Title IX topic that you have a woman who is an NBA team's play-by-play announcer, and this is becoming more normalized as we go, and it will continue to be.
I just love how you tried to lure her back down here to try to get revenge on the and one. That's classic stuff by you.
I will tell you, Yes, she absolutely torched me, and like the whole place was like, oh, but at one point she tried to go for a steal, and I did like a little behind the back dribble.
No, Joe.
No, I did. I got a behind the back dribble and got past her, and Goran Sutan, who played for Michigan State, was like, oh, so I felt good about that.
Lisa was
That's
the
all I've
MVP,
got.
Joe. You weren't, okay? Just let it go.
Did you get any like post-game feedback from Tom Izzo, our friend of the show here?
I don't remember that. But the next year, I don't think she participated, but Draymond was a freshman. I think I might have told this story. And my team crushed his team, and he was really mad and was almost about to cry about it because the players coached the teams, the media slob team, and it felt very good to beat Draymond's team. So, but Byington wasn't there. I think she was all at the Big Ten Network, so she would have dominated if she was.
There you go.
There you go.
We appreciate her taking time to join us this morning on the show. So you brought this up earlier in Jared versus Joe yesterday, the Jeffrey Simmons situation. So Jared and Caroline's collective stance on this is doesn't make sense for the Titans to pay him right now. If that doesn't, let's say that ends up being the route they go, and the Titans get through the rest of this offseason into camp, and the season starts, and there's no new contract for Jeffrey Simmons. Is that going to be a problem, do you think? Do you think Jeffrey Simmons holds out at all? I mean, we brought this up several times. The fines that are levied now make that pretty difficult to do in today's NFL. I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but it's pretty difficult to do, especially when you're making $2.4 billion or $1 million or whatever the case will be for Jeffrey Simmons. What happens if there is no new contract for Jeffrey Simmons this offseason? How much of a storyline is that as they move forward here, do you think?
I think it is going to be a storyline. And so Jared's point was, that what you say to them is what you say if you're John Robinson. I think it was kind of the question. What you say if you're John Robinson is wait 1 year,
right?
And you're really going to cash in. But again, my thing is, I'm saying I get the hesitation where you are about going into this year without security. So if we want to talk security, we can talk security, but understand that there's a cost for that too, to go to do your deal 2 years early. That's a totally fair thing to say as a GM to me,
sure,
to an agent. And so if you're the Titans, why would you not want a team-friendly deal on Jeffrey Simmons? Because I think this is a pathway to that. That's my thing is
you're saying if you start those negotiations now and you want to come up with a new deal now, that's fine if you're Jeffrey Simmons, but it's going to be more towards the ballpark.
Like to me, there's a little bit
we'll give you more guaranteed money, but it's not going to be approaching Aaron Donald or anything like that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a trade-off here. Sure, at some point you could be out in the open market and you'd get more money than we'll pay you. We all know that. Everybody knows how the market works. Well, guess what? You're under contract this year, next year. We can then start tagging you. So I understand. Again, I'm putting myself in John Robinson's shoes right now. I'm John Robinson talking.
I did hear Jared say you should be the lead negotiator yesterday.
Yeah. Well, yes. So I, John Robinson, I understand you wanting to have a new deal and wanting to have that security. I mean, basically you're talking about generational wealth, whatever the number is, 25 million, 30 million, 33 million, 35 million, whatever it is. I don't think it would be much more than like that, right in that range, 35. That's okay. Now you have generational wealth. You are set. If your career ends tomorrow with a devastating injury, you're set for life. So if we're going to do that 2 years earlier than we would, realistically 1 year earlier, tons of these deals get done before the option year. We know this.
Right.
But if we're going to do that while no one else in your draft class has a deal done right now, then it's going to be more friendly to us. The deal is. I think however you say it, probably say it better than I just said it, but that to me is the thinking of doing this deal. You end up better off in the long run. Your player's happy and secure, and you move forward. And I think that the deal, again, I've said this tons of times, I think the deal looks pretty good on the back end. If I'm Jeffrey Simmons, I don't want that riskier. I don't want to wait and think I can get a huge – but also I have to be realistic. If Jeffrey Simmons is like, I want it now and I want it an eyelash short of Aaron Donald, well, then now you're being
I think the $25 million's too low.
Too low.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, what
the more I've thought about it this week.
So how high would you? Where would you go with it?
I'd probably be high 30s.
High 30s.
Yeah.
Okay. So approaching 40 with it. Well,
it's a lot.
That's a lot. Hey, I mean, if that's that is really what matters. That's what he's going to get, no matter what happens. If I was Jeffrey Simmons, I'd be pretty happy with that. No, understanding that, yes, you may have a higher market value, but you also have to understand the contractual situation that you're in, and this is where he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jared brought this up yesterday. Chris Jones a few years ago got $37 million guaranteed at signing on a 4-year, $80 million contract. Like, my guess is, I mean, Simmons is definitely going to want more than that. But if you're doing the deal 2 years early, what's the compromise that you come to if you're the Titans? I don't know what the answer to that is. My guess is it's probably going to be somewhere around that number, maybe a little higher.
Yeah, but as long as there's an understanding that that's what it is, going a year earlier than convention,
right?
2 years earlier than the contract, but a year earlier than convention, that's part of a compromise. Now you have to come a little bit your way, or our way, I guess. I'm continuing to talk like I'm John Robinson, but not really.
Think he's going to give you a call to help on this thing? Did you take a commission?
I think the last time we talked about Cladavian Jowney.
Yeah.
Back in the day when you just had to have Clowney.
The return of Joe's Clowney here on the program, thanks to Heidi and Dixon.
Oh, by the way, Heidi, I forgot to get to your comment yesterday. She asked what Steele's Dan is. Is that like food fighters? I don't believe you, Heidi. I think you're just making this stuff up.
I think you very well could be. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Chase McCabe in studio. NASCAR coming up this weekend at the Nashville Super Speedway, and Chase is going to be a part of that as well. He'll tell us all about it coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
Duchesne scores! Titans touchdown!
We live the game.
Because if he did come back, how long would he play?
Really good after the catch. He can get open.
We are
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
the leading receiver. Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now, 615-576-5000.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the Callaway Trade-In Trade-Up event happening now through July 4th. Bring in any of your old clubs and receive a 50% trade-in bonus towards new Rogue ST Woods and Irons and Apex Irons. Both the Rogue and Apex families are designed with artificial intelligence for faster ball speeds. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get your 50% bonus trade-in on Callaway Rogue ST and Apex Irons today. And while you're there, get custom fit for free. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home with a 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
This is Monster Jam!
June 23rd, 11 to 1 at Nissan Stadium. Bring 5 non-perishable food items to receive 1 complimentary ticket. Limited to the first 250 donations while supplies last. Restrictions may apply.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on Drivewise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
The leading receiver.
Awesome game 7.
Checker flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Welcome in, final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Thursday morning. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We will be joined by Chase McCabe shortly here on the program. NASCAR weekend coming up in Nashville this weekend. There is a question I want to throw out there to our listeners that we'll get to a little bit more in the next segment as well. Has having NASCAR in the city, has that increased your interest level at all? Like if you're a casual sports fan and NASCAR traditionally wasn't a part of your viewing experience or your sports fandom, has having two races in the city changed that? Like has that had a big impact on your fandom? I'd be interested to know, because obviously, you know, this is a part of the country and a location for this sport that has served them really well. I mean, they've had the awards here. There's a big fan base here in Nashville of NASCAR. I would be interested to know what the answer to that question is. Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We are joined by our fearless leader at the moment, Chase McCabe, here on the program. Chase, how are you?
Good, boys. How are you?
We're great.
And girl behind the glass.
Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. So obviously a big weekend coming up, starting tomorrow at the Rackley Roofing race. What's your involvement before we get into the nuts and bolts of the NASCAR? What's your involvement?
Well, I'm driving the number 92. No,
that'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
See that.
No, I am the PA announcer of the Nashville Superspeedway once again, along with my buddy Joe Williams. So we will be doing driver intros and up in the booth, calling the action when MRN is in break, and talking to the people there at the track, starting with the Rackley Roofing 200 tomorrow night with the Truck Series. So going to be fun. Excited to be back, and thanks to Eric Moses and his crew for allowing me to do this again.
So do we have a little bit of Sunday, and you like give us a little taste, man?
That's more.
You can do it on demand.
It's more Monster Jam, doing
that
the
is.
Sunday. I mean,
Okay.
mine is like, driving the number 18 M&M's Toyota. It's Kyle Busch.
Oh,
I
like the little growl, the Kyle Busch.
I like
and
it.
then the fans will boo. It's
Well,
probably great.
That probably will happen for sure. So obviously this is year 2 of the Ally 400 here in Nashville, with the race taking place last year as well. First off, what was your takeaway from that experience last year? Just how it was put on, how it was handled, and how much better now with that experience behind them do you think this race could be at year 2 here?
Well, I thought for year 1, for a track that had been sitting there closed for 10 years, and you had a lot of new people that were involved in it. Eric Moses was hired to be the president. I thought they did a pretty good job. I know that people understand they had some issues with the traffic and some concessions and things, but I feel like you learn as you go, and you're going to have some growing pains in the first year, and they learned from that. Speedway Motorsports, which Marcus Smith and the late Bruton Smith, who passed away yesterday, that founded that company. They purchased the track in the off season. They have been doing this a very long time, and they've brought in new ideas. And so I think this year you're going to see a lot of improvements. They've added parking lots. They're not charging for parking, so you don't have to stop, and so they can just get people in and out at a much faster pace. And they've also added concession areas and water filling stations. You can bring your own water bottles in, $4 waters. You can bring bottled water in, and so they're really trying to make it more of a fan-friendly experience. But, you got to learn sometimes. So I thought they did a good job, and I think this year is going to be even better. And from a racing standpoint, with the next-gen car in the Cup Series, I think the racing is going to be even better.
When you say concessions, then, so it wasn't like Jared found out the price of a hot dog. It was they didn't have enough concession stands.
Yes, no, Jared. I don't even know if Jared knows the races this weekend. So, but no, he did not find out the price of a hot dog, and it was just, hey, we haven't done this before. We've never had a Cup Series race here before, and so you got to learn, and I think that they did.
So they needed more. The lines were too long. And
they ran out. They ran out of water.
I got you.
I think it was a very smart move for them to allow people to bring in, water bottles that are empty. They have to be empty when you bring them in, your own. Like if you're, your tin water bottle or whatever, you have to fill it up once you get there. But they're going to have water filling stations and stuff like that. So they're taking steps to make this process a lot easier.
So I'm going to throw the question that I just put out there to the listeners to you, because you know NASCAR as well or better than anybody in this area. Have you seen an uptick in interest here with the local Nashville fans, whether they're Preds fans, Titans fans, whatever, casual sports fans, now that NASCAR is here and we have races? Have you noticed an uptick in fandom and interest here locally in our market?
Yeah, absolutely. I have. And I think Chasing Checkers that airs Sunday mornings at 8 had a lot to do with that. No, I'm just kidding.
What I was going to say.
Yeah, that's got to be it. No, I definitely think so. And there's always been a hunger to get big-time racing back in this market. I mean, you've had the weekly series that ran at the fairgrounds. The previously in NASCAR, the Camping World Truck Series, the Xfinity Series ran at both the fairgrounds and the Nashville Super Speedway, but it had been since 1984 that they had a Cup Series race in this market. And then you add the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix on the streets of Nashville. It had been probably 15 years since they had run the IndyCar Series had run out at the Super Speedway, and so you bring that back. SRX will be at the fairgrounds in July, which is Tony Stewart's deal, and you're going to have Elio Castroneves and Bill Elliott and Michael Waltrip and a bunch of superstars past and present that will run in that race. So, yeah, I mean, I think there was a demand for it. I have definitely seen, looking at the television ratings, that it's made a big difference. And this market has always been pretty good about television ratings. But, when we made the decision to air races on 102.5 The Game, people reached out and said, thank you, because you couldn't find the races in this market. And so I think there's certainly a following for it, and it warms my heart to see that. And I think there are going to be some people going out for the first time this weekend, and I hope they enjoy it.
Yeah, give us the history lesson on that. For people who haven't been here the entire time, it's hard for me to even understand why it would ever get away from here. It just seems like such a natural place for it.
Well, so back in the 80s, the fairgrounds has obviously been around for a long time, and NASCAR was, had their roots in the Southeast and short track racing and, super speedways like you would have up in Michigan,
right?
Brooklyn, with that 2-mile track, which I love that track. That was a rarity, to have that. But as the sport started to grow, and especially as you got into the 90s, the demand for what they call super speedways or the big tracks, that kind of was there. And so, Nashville had pretty good attendance still, but they wanted a bigger track because you can bring more people in. And it just, 1984, they were going other places, and so they left, and the hope was they'd come back to a bigger track. They built the super speedway in 2001 with the promise that they were going to get Cup Series racing, and they never did until about 20 years later when they had to close the track. Dover Motorsports had owned the track, and when NASCAR said you're not going to get a race there, they closed it, and then as the sport, the hunger for the sport grew in the market, the fairgrounds came around again of being a potential of having NASCAR racing again. That's when, and Dover was having attendance issues, they were going to lose a race. And so they basically said, what if we reopen Nashville? We know you want to be there, and we'll move one of our races to Nashville. And NASCAR said, absolutely, we would love to do that. And now we're sitting here talking about the potential of racing at both tracks at some point, which I think is a very real possibility.
Oh, yeah.
So, that I think that would be awesome. But that's kind of the short version. There's a lot more to it, but it was the politics of the time with the in and out of the sport that had a lot to do with that.
So Kyle Larson ran away with this thing last year at the Ally 400. He's the outright favorite right now at plus 450 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Kyle Busch at plus 750 as well. What kind of a race do you expect this weekend, and do you agree that Kyle Larson's the favorite this weekend?
I don't actually. I think Kyle's had a good season, but he hasn't had a dominant season like he had last year. If I were gonna put some money on this, I would lean Kyle Busch because this is one. He's always raced well here. He won last year in the Xfinity Series. He knows this track. He's good on concrete.
No guitar smashing.
No guitar smashing. he acted like he was gonna do it, but he said he wouldn't. But I think that I would go Kyle. I would lean Kyle Busch, but I would also tell you that with this new car, I mean, it's hard to predict.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to run away with it like Larson did last year, which I think is going to provide good racing. You've seen closer packs. You've seen side-by-side. They'll put the resin is on the track, which creates more lanes. So what they call a second groove on the racetrack where you can get more side-by-side racing like we saw last year. I would not rule out the Nashville-based Trackhouse team of Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain, which is Justin Marks and co-owned by Pitbull. So I think they are going to potentially be a factor. I do like Joe Gibbs Racing, which is Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Christopher Bell. So, it's anyone's race, in my opinion, which I think is what the fans want.
Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 o'clock here on 102.5 The Game. Chase
we'll have
McCabe.
A special one tonight at 6. Actually going to have that tonight and then a 30-minute tomorrow leading into the truck race because we are airing the Camping World Truck Series race tomorrow night. The Xfinity race on Saturday, and then, of course, the Ally 400 on Sunday as well, with coverage beginning at 3 o'clock for that. But we'll have a lot of special guests, including Denny Hamlin.
Ooh, Chase McCabe, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode.
So your excitement level for a weekend like this compared to, say, I don't know, like a Cowboys huge game against somebody or something like that. Like, how does this compare to other, like, massive sports excitement weekends for you?
Yeah, this is up there. Saturday's my birthday, so I think that this is a good way to celebrate being 35. So, which
this is huge, Chase.
That hurts. To
Ancient.
Say.
Yeah, tell me about how that hurts.
Yeah, it does. My back hurts. That happens. I got a weird pain in my elbow. I may need Tommy John. Who knows?
It'll get better, man.
Yeah.
Rexrode was 35 in 1935.
Paw.
Yeah, the stock market was really a problem back then.
It was.
But yeah, no, I'm really excited because that's my happy place, being at a racetrack, and I haven't been to a race since Daytona, so I'm excited to be able to do it.
Well, Chase, we're looking forward to it. Thanks for taking time to join us here this morning, and have fun this weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Chase McCabe, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. I want to take your thoughts. We've got some of your thoughts to get to on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Is having NASCAR in the city increased your interest in the sport? We'll get to some of those thoughts next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
This June, we celebrate 50 years of Title IX, originally a law that outlawed discrimination in education on the basis of sex, which then evolved and changed women's roles in sports forever. We've seen women emerge as franchise owners, general managers, leaders, paving the way for every young girl dreaming to be just like them. 50 years down, but don't worry, we're not done yet.
This is 102.5 The Game.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
The City of Laverne is excited to announce a hiring fair Saturday, June 25th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Laverne City Hall, 5093 Murfreesboro Road. Find out about open positions and different opportunities within the city. Apply on site. Some departments will be conducting immediate interviews. Receive paid medical, dental, vision, 401A with match, paid time off, sick leave, flexible spending account, employee assistance program, and more. Check out lavernetn.gov or call 615-287-8624. Sheet Metal Workers Local 177 is looking for the next great skilled construction tradesman out there to join their apprenticeship program. If you're interested in commercial fabrication, ventilation systems, metal roofing, welding, and more, Smart Local 177 is the place for you. Get the extra training you need to excel in the career you've been waiting for. They offer great benefits, tuition-free, debt-free education, and job opportunities you can earn while you learn. Visit sheetmetal177.com or call 615-292-0587, an equal opportunity employer.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop in the Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, a dab bar at the Hendersonville location, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
Upgrade her diamond ring this summer with no money down and 0 interest for 5 years. Yes! This killer offer has been extended through July 2nd. Our most aggressive offer of the year continues, but won't be extended again. It's not just on engagement rings. It's earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry. Buy now, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. So that $5,000 eternity band comes out to just $85 a month. One-of-a-kind designer jewelry is also included in this amazing offer. Now through July 2nd at Genesis Diamonds. Open this Sunday. Green Hills and Cool Springs. Approved credit.
At Boost Mobile, you get the power of the iPhone SE when you switch, which means the power to stream your favorite shows, download all the music, the power to FaceTime your ex.
It's over. Stop calling me.
On second thought, don't call your ex. Get an iPhone SE for just $19.99 when you switch, all on one of America's largest 5G networks. More power to save. Boost Mobile. Phone offer limited to new customers and one per line. Additional restrictions apply. 5G not available everywhere. See boostmobile.com for details. And stop calling your ex. She doesn't want to hear from you anymore.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Thanks to Chase McCabe for joining us in the last segment. Looking ahead to a big racing weekend here in Nashville. Speaking of, I got a pair of tickets to give away to this Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race at the Ally 400, the Nashville Super Speedway. Be caller number 5, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Caller number 5 will win a pair of tickets to this Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series race, the Ally 400 at the Nashville Super Speedway, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, I threw this question out there in the last segment to our listeners. Has having a NASCAR race in the city and the awards in the city, and as Chase pointed out, maybe one day 2 races throughout the course of a NASCAR season, has that increased the fandom here? Is, if you're a casual sports fan, are you now more invested in NASCAR? Do you care the same as you always have? Do you not care at all? Like, what's the general reaction to NASCAR and having races here in our city? I'm interested to get people's thoughts on that. Dennis on the text line says they could have 20 NASCAR races in this area and I would still have 0 interest. I just can't get into it. I've tried. This is coming from Dennis on the text line. Do you have extensive experience with NASCAR?
Well, it's funny. So I remember interviewing Kyle Busch when he was one of the young guns.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, seriously, I think this is exactly 20 years ago at Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. I had a blast for, I'd say, about 3 or 4 summers in a row. That would be part of the summer. You would basically lock in a week that you were going to go and do a bunch of stuff. Did quite a few feature stories. I had a blast. It's great access. I mean, the only person back then who was you had to kind of jump through hoops was Dale Jr. Like he was the only person you couldn't just go to the trailer and be like, hey, can you talk for a few minutes? I think it's awesome. Up close, it's awesome. I think that there are other sports like this where if you experience it live, even just like qualifying is like, man, like when you're there, it's something to behold. And for me, it's just tough on TV. I think people who are really into it, obviously, they love it on TV. It's just like, to me, hockey, a little bit different, but hockey to me in person as opposed to on TV is a huge difference.
Agreed.
Now, once you're into hockey, like I don't care that I can't see the puck right now because it's on the near boards. I know where it is by watching the players, right?
Yeah.
But that's why they did the stupid glowing puck and stuff. Like they're trying to bridge the gap for people who are casual. If you love it, then it's fine on TV. But some sports like football, is made for TV. It's just just like the framing it. Like, to me,
I
it's
prefer
perfect.
watching football on TV than I do being in.
See,
in
there
the
you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I still would prefer anything probably live. You can see the entire field and all that. But, yeah, it's a great TV sport. All that is to say, I really respect it, appreciate it. Again, I think it's a great experience. And I do think having it here, you're just going to have some people that, hey, let's go check it out. And maybe you grow your fan base by that. Just having access to it, I would think, would bring some people out who would then be like, wow, I think this is great. But for me, like, it's because of the TV aspect of it, I don't follow it closely.
Well, I mean, it sold out quickly last year, the race at the Super Speedway. I mean, it was sold out, and the crowd was great. It was a hot day, and the race wasn't all that great. Like I said last segment, Kyle Larson basically just ran away with that thing the whole time. So it wasn't necessarily a great race last year, but the crowd was awesome. Now, there were some problems, as Chase talked about, with concessions, and apparently the traffic getting in and out of there was just brutal last year. So I don't know what they've done to change that and how much better that's going to be coming up this weekend. Hopefully it's a little bit better. I mean, I think you're going to run into some traffic over there just based on the location and where it's at, but the crowd itself was awesome last year. I do wonder, I mean, last year it's brand new. It's a Cup Series race. It's a great weekend. Like, I still think you're always going to get, with an event like that happens once a year, you're always going to get a pretty good crowd. I do wonder if, 2-3 years down the road, does it have the same pop to it?
The novelty wears off a little bit. Yeah. So have you ever been a close follower of NASCAR? Have you ever had a favorite driver, things like that?
I would say when I was younger I was, but, I remember exactly where I was when Dale Sr. died. Like, I was watching that race. I used to root for Jeff Gordon a lot. I would say my NASCAR fandom was more probably back in the very late 90s, early 2000s, and it's faded a little bit since then. Now, there are people in my family that they watch every lap of every race, which there's a lot of those people.
Yeah.
So,
no doubt. Interesting that you rooted for Jeff Gordon, because that used to be the big thing, man. I mean, you were counterculture. You rooted for Jeff Gordon.
I was also
the most
9.
Hated. Yeah. 9-year-olds liked him.
Yeah.
I never got the intense hatred for him.
Well, I used to have this NASCAR game on the Nintendo 64, and Jeff Gordon was my driver. So I think that's basically where it started. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm rooting for Jeff Gordon.
There you go. Okay.
The Nintendo 64 is really the root of many of my life decisions. It's basically how that goes.
I was more of a GameCube girl.
Okay. See, GameCube was good. 64 before GameCube.
It's all a little bit over my head.
Joe's an A-Techer.
Yeah. Well, that was like in between like my Atari and then my kids' more advanced, not current stuff.
Oh, yeah.
PS2 or 3 or 4.
Got a text that says, I don't care more than I used to. Between the fuel, rubber, oil, other fluids, exhaust, etc., NASCAR and motorsports feels like the biggest waste of natural resources.
That's one way to look at it.
And gas prices are a little higher right now. I bet that racing fuel is pretty high, too.
I would think so. Michael says, my father-in-law goes to the weekend in an RV, parties all weekend, leaves when the race starts. Yeah, there's people who do that, too, for sure. It's all about the
That's basically
amble to the race.
I've never been to this, but basically I've heard Talladega is just nuts. Like, it's just one big party all weekend.
All week. And the race is
people
like,
care about the race, but
sure.
the race is kind of secondary, too. Just the party.
Sometimes the biggest cocktail party in the world, the game's secondary to that, too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the tailgate's the best part.
Yeah. John the Mailman texting in says, I drive for a living. I don't need to watch people drive for a living. This comes from John the Mailman.
Who's from New Jersey. I know that because John the Mailman constantly is trying to tell us how awesome New Jersey is. So.
He also hates Boston sports.
Well, that's okay.
As most people should. The look I just got from Michelle on that comment was not great.
It's so weird to be a New Yorker
Listen,
like
Robby.
Robby sports.
We've gone through this. Listen, Jersey, no. New York, sports, no. Boston's close to me, so yes.
Yeah, but there's still that state line, Like, you're supposed to hate them.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I can't
Robby's
wrap
a
my
Miami
hand around it.
fan.
Well, right, but that's like, but you're a fan because of location, right?
Kind of.
Like
mine has nothing to do with location.
Yeah, you can be a fan of random teams. Lots of people are, but you're a fan because of location. But you are not abiding by the state boundary rules that you should hate Boston sports.
Okay, I'll follow the rules, Joe.
John the Mailman
I feel like between this and like Robby and I, instead of Robby and me, I've been kind of mean today. Sorry.
Joe's like a teacher today.
Although someone on the text line supported me on that, by the way.
Of course they did.
Yes.
It's a very common mistake. We're just trying to make the world grammatically better, okay? One person at a time.
Coming up next, we'll get back into the Scott Powers story that we had earlier of leaving Roman Yossi off the ballot.
Speaking of ripping people.
We'll get back to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode. You're on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs,
and I-840,
players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
I go back to that play and I shake my head. What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
Kick off Nashville Pride with Pride Night at the ballpark. Enjoy $2 and $3 drink specials throughout the park, as well as a special frozen drink special at the Bandbox. Limited edition Sounds Pride tees are available tonight only, as the Sounds take on the Gwinnett Stripers at 7:05. Visit NashvilleSounds.com.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and it's time to step up to the tee and take a swing at betting the PGA Tour on FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet the Tour with a no-sweat first bet. If you don't win, you'll get up to $1,000 back in free bets. I really like Scotty Scheffler. He's been playing really well all year long. Rory McIlroy as well. With that smooth swing, he's been very consistent this season. But you take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook. They've got great promotions every day. The app is safe and secure, and you get paid quickly as well. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Sign up using promo code ROB to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official betting operator of the PGA Tour. Make sure you sign up with promo code ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Hey, Willie Donick here. Are you feeling the sting of higher interest rates and higher costs? Those credit cards and other loans are costing more and more every month, and inflation is making everything else more expensive. Your home can save you right now. Your home value is up, and there's a ton of cash in it that you can access with Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto specializes in zero-cost cash-out home refis. You can get tens of thousands in as little as 2 weeks. Pay off those 23% rate credit cards and other loans. Consolidate everything into one super low payment. People who do this usually cut $800 or more from their monthly budget. If your home mortgage rate goes up a point or so, it's offset by your credit card rate going to zero. So call Loan Pronto now and unlock that equity and wipe out the bad debt. Do it now. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into the DDC.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 on 94.9 The Fan as the Sounds face the Gwinnett Stripers, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. By the way, Cody on the text line said he won tickets to Dega, and it revitalized his liking for NASCAR and plan on going this weekend. Also, the party at Dega is insane.
Dega. Has Chase, by the way, been to most of these tracks? That would have been a question.
I don't know if he's been to all of them, but I bet he's been to a good number of them.
Probably been to the Dega, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's been to Dega.
Yep. It sounds fun.
It does. Maybe we'll go. Maybe we'll do the show from Dega.
Yeah, you think so?
Maybe.
Okay.
Shake and bake Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
It's like
great film.
Brennan and who?
Dale.
Yeah, Brennan and Dale. That's right. There we go.
that would just preceded the Brennan and Dale, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's the same.
Mike Honcho. Talked a lot about Mike Honcho this year on the program.
Yes, that's right. The origin of Mike Honcho, right there.
That is correct. We've gotten into this week, the Roman Josi ballot drama. We talked yesterday about Josi finishing in second place in the Norris Trophy voting. I think 3 people voted for him for 4th place, and 1 left him off the ballot entirely. We now know who that one person was. That was Scott Powers from The Athletic, based out of Chicago. So Scott Powers leaving Roman Josi off of the ballot. Others voting for Roman Josi as 4th place. Now we know John Buccigross, one of those that voted for him in 4th. Thomas Drance of The Athletic also voted for him in 4th place as well. So the names are now out there and are available to the public. But Scott Powers, the one not having Roman Josi on his ballot. You had some conversations with Scott Powers yesterday. What did you learn about this process?
Well, I sent him a Slack message, all caps, OMG, Scott, your Norris ballot.
Sure he'd love that.
Then I nicely asked him to come on the show, and he nicely declined, saying basically not sure any positive comes from that. But here is Scott's explanation. Quote, I probably should have put him 4th or 5th just to avoid this. I thought he wasn't good enough both ways to be considered the best all-around defenseman. I also went by a lot of the analytics on evolving hockey to come to my decision. I had him 6th and was included in my all-star vote, end quote. And, again, Scott is a really good guy, very good at what he does. He's not like a guy with the Blackhawks foam finger on while he's trying to type in his laptop.
Yeah, he's not wearing a Patrick
Kane
Kane jersey right now.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I don't think so. And doesn't deserve to be profanely attacked on Twitter, but that's a pretty bad ballot, man. That's a pretty bad ballot.
Good. It's not good. I mean, look, even the explanation of it, I just didn't feel like his all-around game was good enough to be the best all-around defenseman. It's like, well, not top 5. Nobody's asking you to vote him number 1. Top 5? I think he 96 points. Top 5? I would think so.
Because here's another thing we didn't say, another point. So Makar was first on his, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just take Makar as a defensive defenseman. You could say he's better than Josi.
But the numbers will point to that, yeah.
But Makar's first on his ballot because of Makar's offense, right?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, like Makar is elite because of his offensive game and what he does to create offense for them. So if you believe he's number one, you must value that. If you value that, Roman Josi cannot be off your ballot.
Well, I said this earlier. Like, people make this way more complicated than it needs to be sometimes. Sometimes it's the opposite approach. Like, they just put no thought into it all, and they just submit a ballot and they move on with their day. And that's a problem as well. But some people way overthink it. And to me, this is the case of way overthinking something. Like, sometimes it's just as simple as, yeah, the guy had 96 points. That's the most points a defenseman's had in 30 years. That's good enough to be in the top 5. Like, I'm sorry. First off, Greg Wyshynski basically said this yesterday on the DDC, and I agree with him. Like, anybody that had him lower than third, it's kind of absurd. Like, it's a little bit ridiculous for anybody that voted him, anywhere below third, much less off the ballot. So Scott Powers is going to get a lot of crap for that because he was the one guy that had him off the ballot. I mean, that's inexcusable. Honestly, I don't view Buccigross or Thomas Drance all that differently. I think it's pretty much equally ridiculous to have him fourth, especially when you have Christopher Tanev at number 5 on your ballot, which I told Jared yesterday is basically like putting Corey Davis in the top 5 of NFL MVP voting. The guy had 28 points in 82 games.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, we've talked about this in years past. We talked about this when Josi won the Norris Trophy and John Carlson led the league in points for defensemen. We're like, well, it's not all about just the points. And it's not. It shouldn't be all about just the points. But it is partly about the points. Like, you can't just totally ignore that. And, I saw Drance, he was getting into Twitter battles with Preds fans and all kinds of people.
Uh-oh.
And which is, you know how well that normally goes. But one of his responses was always, well, it's not a defenseman scoring award, which it's not, but that is part of it. Like, if you're going to go best all-around defenseman, well, all-around includes offense. And it's not like Roman Josi just had some run-of-the-mill year offensively where he led defensemen in scoring. He had 96 points. He almost had 100 points as a defenseman. So all around, in terms of impact on the game, like, you tell me, is 96 points more impactful than, I don't know, Christopher Tanev's defense with 28 points attached to it? I don't know. I guess different people would answer that differently.
I would say
I think
most people would answer it the same.
No, in fairness, he did have Josi ahead of Tanev.
That's the thing, because that's why it's not as bad as Powers.
Yeah.
Because Powers, by Powers' ballot, Josi is the same as Tanev and every other defenseman. They're not worthy of the ballot, right? Not worthy of being in the top 5. That one's just wild to me. The Tanev, you find these ballots. Sometimes you have the, well, which I hate. Well, the hometown guy, I'm going to give, not nearly worthy of the award, but I'm going to give a third place vote to get a little, yay. I hate that. Or, like, I read the Tanev thing is almost Drance saying, I'm going to put my favorite defensive defenseman at the last spot on the ballot just to show that I value that. I don't know. Again, maybe I can go in his mentions and maybe he talked more about that. But at least he had Josi on there. Like, it's a tough one.
It's inexcusable.
Yeah. No, it's pretty bad. And it's I guess in a way, when I heard it was Scott, I was like, what? That was my first reaction. That was stunning to me. I was a little surprised. I thought this was going to end up being the case of, like, the Avs homer who wanted to help Makar win the award by not giving any points to the top contender.
Yeah. I guess in a way I'm kind of glad it wasn't that. Because can you imagine the...
Like, and that's the thing. If it was that, then I would actually say, like, okay, that if we're not going to revamp everything, and I don't see that coming, I think it should be. But if we're not going to revamp it and make it a much smaller group of people who actually talk to each other and hash these things out, then at least take that vote away. I would not say take Scott's vote away, but I bet you after a few days of whatever people are coming at him with, he'll be, he'll probably regret that because it's senseless. There's no point.
Well, then you look at the ballot that he put out there. So he had Cale Makar at number 1, which that's fine, whatever. Cale Makar absolutely deserves a Norris Trophy vote.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Had Charlie McAvoy at 2, which is when you start to raise your eyebrows a little bit. Look, McAvoy was great this year. Was he number 2? I don't know about that. You had Devon Tays at number 3. So you had McCarr at 1, Devon Tays at number 3 from the Avalanche. At number 4, Aaron Ekblad. At number 5, Victor Hedman. So Hedman was 5th on his list. But I keep bringing this up because I haven't seen anybody else bring this up. And I guess people just don't care about this as much as I do. Aaron Ekblad missed 21 games. That's a quarter of the season. And you put him in the top 5 of your Norris Trophy ballot? Like, I understand Florida was really, really good. By the way, Florida was really, really good after Aaron Ekblad got hurt, too. So shouldn't that maybe tell you something? But, like, I don't for the life of me understand having Aaron Ekblad in your top 5 when he missed a quarter of the season. Like, it just makes no sense to me. So he had Aaron Ekblad over Roman Josi, and no one's talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, Aaron Ekblad finished in 6th place, I think, in the overall Norris Trophy voting. And I said it yesterday on the show. I was like, you don't have to play anymore to get votes? Miss a quarter of the season?
Well, it's like you have to qualify for certain statistical categories, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, it's almost like maybe that should be part of it too. Like, must have played whatever game. I guess that would be right around the cut line probably. But still, like you said, if you're saying best defenseman, you're talking about, you're comparing all these guys. I mean, that 20-game difference has to be a factor, right? I mean, there's a lot of things you can nitpick. You probably go through any voting situation and find ridiculous ballots like this. And this is a huge voting group, so you're going to be more likely to find some ridiculous ones. And we're talking about it because the local guy didn't win, and I thought he was going to win. He still ends up with 6 more first-place votes. So a whole bunch of people who also are, hockey media who are informed on the game put him, 98 of them put him first.
Yeah.
So I think with Scott, again, I don't know all of the analytics he was referring to on Evolving Hockey. But I guess I would hope you'd look back and say, yeah, 96 points does matter. It has to be a factor. It doesn't have to be the only thing you look at. That's oversimplifying, and probably some people who voted for Josi seriously took 5 seconds and did that, and that's not cool.
No.
But, man, overthinking it or whatever. Phil in Kentucky says, this guy's waving a Hawks flag, has a bias against Nashville, no question about it. No, I don't think that's what it is, Phil. I don't think either of those things is true. Guy needs to lose his privileges. He's a liar and deserves reprimand. I don't think he's a liar either. I just think he had a bad ballot.
Well, it does bring up the question to me of, are there too many people voting on this thing? Like, we talked about this earlier. I don't think the PHWA is going to modify anything, so it's probably going to be the same thing next year in terms of the voting process. But, do you need to take a look at – sometimes you can have too many people voting on the award. Like, I would probably rather see pretty much every award voting system go to, all right, get a committee that's just dedicated to this, and they pay attention to all these things. They get together, they hash it out, and they try their best to come up with the most deserving candidate. Now, I'm not even saying that the most deserving candidates didn't all win. Like, Austin Matthews won the Hart Trophy. Some people are mad about that. Now there's some people that had Connor McDavid not on their ballot for the Hart Trophy too, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
And who the heck did that? See, like, stuff like that. Like, why?
Yeah, it's just stupid. So I don't know what the answer is as they move forward here, but there's not a perfect solution, basically. I mean, we had a bunch of people yesterday talking about get players to vote or get GMs to vote or coaches to vote. You run into the same stuff then. Players have biases. GMs are paying attention to their team. They're not paying attention to the whole league. We saw this last year with Saros not being a Vezina Trophy nominee.
Right. That was a total
GM
oversight
vote
by the GMs.
Yeah. So it's not perfect any way you want to cut it, but pretty bad ballot by old Scott Powers.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's not just a points award, but if you watched him play, I mean, come on, right? Well, if you watched him play, you know how great he is.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, this is not a shot at Scott Powers or Thomas Drance or anybody that didn't vote for Josi in the top 3, but this is just kind of a statement of how this goes. A lot of the people voting on these awards are covering a team. So you're playing in the NHL, especially this year in the second half of the year when it's a condensed schedule, you're playing every other night. So you're covering games every other night. You don't have time to watch Cale Makar play or Roman Josi play or all this other stuff. Like, it's a flawed process that way anyway, and I don't even know how you fix that because even if you get a committee, you can't watch every game at the same time. So I don't know how you fix it, but that just adds to it. Like, how many times did Scott Powers actually watch Roman Yossi play this year?
Right.
How many times did Thomas Drance actually watch Roman Yossi play this year? I don't know, but
Yeah, you could keep it to the LeBruns, Saravellis, et cetera, who cover the sport at large. You could do that, and you wouldn't have anyone with Yossi 6 on a ballot. I would think. I would not think. Real quick, I know we have to go to April and Portland had a very long text, but my favorite part is anyone that had Yossi 4th, 5th, or left off needs to be throat punched. April and Portland, woo,
getting out there,
throat punching.
That's right. 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll get to more of your thoughts coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Forecast today still hot, but not as hot. Yesterday, record-breaking heat at 101 degrees in Nashville. Today, high temperature right near 94. Low humidity, tons of sunshine, but also a very high UV index.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Celebrate July 4th with huge deals from Electronic Express. Save big on summer necessities from brands like Charbroil, Yeti, Samsung, GE, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. Computers, appliances, 4K TVs, smart home, furniture, and more. Save up to 40% on all appliances with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online at electronicexpress.com and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
We're in the most active season of the year right now, but if you've got joint pain, you may be on the sidelines. Hips, knees, back pain, shoulder pain. It sucks the fun out of living, but I've got the solution. QC Kinetics, helping people here in our listening area get the fun back. It's regenerative medicine. It's the hottest thing going. It's basically taking growth factors with the healing properties from your own body, highly concentrated, then putting them into your aching joints. This is exciting. It's in the office. It's non-surgical. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. So stop putting it off. Call QC Kinetics and learn more about regenerative medicine and get a free in-office consultation now. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics. Repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints and get the long-lasting relief from pain.
The coolest beer fest in town returns to Bridgestone Arena on Saturday, June 25th. Get out of the heat and enjoy unlimited craft beer tastings from over 80 breweries at the Preds Beer Fest. Each general admission ticket includes a souvenir tasting glass and a ticket to a Preds home game in October. General admission ticket starts at just $69. All proceeds benefit the Nashville Predators Foundation, which supports Middle Tennessee nonprofits. Visit NashvillePredators.com/beer to secure your tickets today.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
I love my Charmin Super Mega Rolling Rolls, yeah. Goes last long, it's TP Gold, yeah. Charmin's got 6 rolls in one, lasts forever on my buns. Only Super Mega when I'm cleaning. Charmin's got my booty believing.
Charmin Super Mega Roll is 6 regular rolls in one. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day here on Robby and Rexrode 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Rexrode in style coming in here for the last segment. Taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com 615-737-1025. Ray in Hendersonville texting in says, this just in, Scott Powers awards the 2022 Stanley Cup to the Ottawa Senators. It's coming from Ray Hendersonville.
Nice. Good analytics.
See, he's going to have to, Scott, when you have a ballot, that's bad. That's that bad. You got to go through a couple days of shaming, and then everybody moves on.
Do like the
I
thing,
think.
like to walk through the town, like shame, like
it's today the last day we'll talk about this, you think?
Well, see, the thing is, what stinks about this, and again, it has nothing to do with like ripping coworkers. I mean, today I've complained about Jared, Caroline, Michelle.
Me.
Yeah, I mean, but it stinks because I know.
Can't say anything about me yet because you know better.
Exactly. I fear you. We're in the same room together.
Joe better know better. I'm house sitting this weekend.
Yeah, you're everything sitting. We talked about Gus and Quinn's pooping. Oh, we got a lot to talk about. But I hate this because, again, I know Scott, and he's really good.
Yes.
And I bet you most of his ballots aren't stupid like this one is. So I feel like, because this could be a good run. Like if it was somebody else, if it was just pick a fake name, like David Putty, okay, like Devils, then we could just make David Putty jokes all the time about a lot of things. But I feel bad weaving in Scott Powers like that. I don't want to make him a constant source of joking, but we may have to.
Well, I would hope that if I filled out a ballot like this, that you would joke about me. I would hope.
Call it a Robby.
Just man,
he Robbied him.
Robbie, that just wasn't quite your best effort there, man.
It's like getting Munson.
Be better next time.
It's like getting Munsoned. This is now this is getting Powers.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up with things that are like getting Powers. And April says, glad you enjoyed the throat punch. LOL, I'm joking. Yes, I know you're joking. I know that you're not actually violently. Then she just said, when my students act like idiots, I tell them I'm going to karate chop their face off. Jeez, we're getting into some serious stuff here with April today. Good stuff.
Next time the Blackhawks are in town and Powers is here, they're going to show him on the Jumbotron for the press box. The whole stadium.
Oh, my goodness. Everybody will think it's Jared and then boo even louder.
Well, maybe so.
Cody says, do you guys wish Yossi would come out and address this?
Well, what's he going to say?
Scott Powers, coming for you.
Yeah, Scott Powers.
Again,
love of God, what do I have to do to be on your top 5?
Again, to make clear, because someone asked this earlier, if Scott Powers' ballot was changed to Yossi first, it would not have he still would not have won the Norris.
No, I will say
it would have taken a few more of the questionable ballots.
Yeah, if the 3 people that voted for him fourth and Scott Powers, who left him off the ballot entirely, changed their votes, it could have made a difference.
Yeah. Someone asked if Yossi winning recently hurt him. I don't know about that.
I don't think so.
Necessarily. Gator Tim says Cale McCarthy's going to win the next 5-6. He might. But it may become a thing like, okay, who else other than Cale McCarr might win this year, and let's vote for that guy.
Yeah.
So that could happen. So I wouldn't totally close the door on Roman Yossi ever winning another Norris. For the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can do it.
I would have liked to have probably seen it on the playoffs. When that power play is just lighting you up, maybe time of the playoffs, put him out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But I think also on an individual level, I saw quite a few people referring to that. So first of all, I give people credit if you're doing your homework on, who's he matching up against and penalty. That's fair. Those are all fair things to bring up. They totally are. This isn't just a points award. But also,
they do matter.
They do matter. And when you're that ridiculously good and you have a historic season, I think you and again, watch him play. I'll bring up Willie's point from yesterday on DDC. If you are controlling the game the way he did so many nights, controlling the puck, triggering offense, what's a better defense than a great offense? None. None is the answer, Elijah.
That's correct.
That's right.
It is kind of amazing. And you brought this up yesterday, and I guess I knew it, but I didn't really think about it. Victor Hedman's won the Norris Trophy one time. He's been nominated every year. He's nominated all the time, but
always a bridesmaid.
He's won it once.
Yeah.
So I mean that kind of makes me think about Cale Makar. I have no doubt that Cale Makar, as he continues to move along here, he's probably going to win it a few more times, and he's definitely going to be nominated moving forward.
He'll be nominated every year.
Yeah. So
and he's probably going to have some seasons that are just looking at his skill, he's probably going to have some stupid seasons that will win the Norris. But I bet you there will be some years where it's like he has a good year, and he might be the best defenseman, but he won't win it.
People are like, eh.
Right, and they're looking for something else.
Which, again, is a problem. But that's the human element to it.
Yeah, just take it away from the masses. Get a group of people who pay attention to the sport, and again, can talk everything out, get all the information together, and come up with a good informed decision. And people will still complain, but you won't have the weird outliers.
Well, it's kind of like the NBA, like with LeBron in his prime. What do you have, 4 MVPs? It's like, okay, well, you probably could have tossed 4 or 5 more in there and been more accurate, but it's just not the way things go.
Like he's there, so can someone beat him? And even if you get close, you might get the vote.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Joe, very quickly in the last 15 seconds. Bill Haslam press conference coming up. What do we think happens here? What are we interested in?
Well, and Herb Fritch also talking. So I mean, I'm just interested to hear. Really, to me, the most interesting thing is is this going to be business as usual for the ownership group, or does this signify a change in that?
Yep.
That to me is the most interesting question moving forward. Like just how the Preds are going to be run.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens on that front. Bill Haslam coming up on the DDC at 1:15 today as well. That does it for us. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. The DDC coming up next. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You love the game.
Duchesne scores! Titans touchdown!
We live the game.
They did not make the playoffs. Coaches are figuring out what his role is.
We are.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
Learn a new offense.
Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And The Game